offensive guard, number 55, Andrew McConnell. At wide receiver, demi-espacé, number 71, Keith Wright. At slot back, demi-inséré, number 33, Craig Ellis. At slot back, number 27, Marco Sinkar. At running back, porteur de ballon, number 32, Michael Souls. At fullback, demi-arrière, number 22, Blake Marshall. At quarterback, carrière, number 8, Tracy Hand. And the head coach, l'entraîneur-chef, Joe Faragalli, and the rest of the Edmonton Eskimos. From the Eastern Division champion Winnipeg Blue Bombers, les champions de l'Est à la défensive, here is the starting defensive squad. At left end, number 52, Mike Gray. At nose tackle, bloqueur, number 77, Stan Mikawas. At right end, number 43, Quincy Williams. At linebacker, secondaire, number 72, Albert Williams. At linebacker, number 36, Paul Randolph. At linebacker, secondaire, number 34, Greg Battle. At linebacker, number 35, Tyrone Jones. At cornerback, demi-coin, number 10, Rod Hill. Cornerback number 15, Les Brown. At halfback, the demi, number 30, Darrell Sampson. At halfback, number 24, Ken Haley. At safety, number 29, Dave Bovell. And the head coach, l'entraîneur-chef, Mike Riley, and the rest of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. we now present les arbitres et juges de ligne, today's game officials. Your referee, Jake Ireland. The umpire, Ken Pickett. The head linesman, Ross Hutchinson. Line judge, Ed Dunn. The back judge, Turk Turtani. Field judge, Al McColeman. Our alternate referee, Dave Buell. And the alternate official, Jacques Descaries.
Which one of the Edmonton captains is going to call it?
No, we won the right.
Which one of you are going to call it? Captain Bass, call in the air.
All right, forward, Texas.
It is ahead. Winnipeg, you will defer to the second half. Edmonton takes the ball. Edmonton will receive.
Well, the player introductions are complete, and the Edmonton Eskimos will receive the opening kickoff of this game. I want to take a moment now to reintroduce our game day analysts, Saskatchewan quarterback Kent Austin, Argo linebacker Don Moen, who have both been in this position before, which is to say, standing on the sidelines, all set to play the game of your life. You did last year when you led Saskatchewan to a Grey Cup victory. They call it the greatest game ever played. Can you possibly think back to what your state was before you took the field at this moment?
Yeah, it was a mess. To be honest with you, I was really nervous, and I was really anxious to get in the game and throw my first pass.
Don, you played in 3 Grey Cup championship games, won one of them. Is it possible to get wound up too tight for this game?
Yeah, I think there's 2 key things that you can't do for a big game. You can't get too uptight, and you cannot be too overconfident. I don't think there'll be an overconfidence factor in this game today. And it'll be up to, we'll see which one of these teams, if any of them, are too uptight. You got to relax. You have to do the things that have got you here and believe it's going to take you one more step.
All right, once again, I want to remind our audience we'll have the benefit of your inside knowledge, that of Kent Austin of Saskatchewan, Argo linebacker Don Moen, throughout this game and on Live at the Half. And right now, here at BC Place, we're all set for the ceremonial kickoff.
Ladies and gentlemen, at center field, it is now time for the ceremonial kickoff, le botté de circonstance. Please welcome His Excellency, the Governor General of Canada, le Gouverneur Général, Monsieur Ray Netishin. The Governor General's guests, son invité, British Columbia Special Olympian Tanya Paris. The Honorable Marcel Dany. CFL Commissioner Mr. Donald Crump. And the Chairman of the CFL, Roy McMurtry.
The ceremonial kickoff here at BC Place Stadium has been completed, and that is one that Henry the Gizmo Williams is not running back.
No, I don't think he'd had any trouble getting by them. I don't think anyone there could have tackled him.
The Edmonton Eskimos favored coming into this Grey Cup championship game, but in listening to the reaction of the crowd when the players were introduced, it would seem the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are the choice of the crowd here at BC Place Stadium. And now our national anthem.
At this time, ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join Michael Burgess, star de la production Les Misérables, for our national anthem.
Chance for some final comments from our game day analyst. Don Moen, for the defense, linebackers in particular, is it a matter of making the first big hit to relieve the tension?
Yeah, there's no question about that, Scott. One hit, the butterflies are gone, and let's play some football.
Same thing for the quarterbacks, Kent. A few completions early, then you can play football.
The first completion's important. You got to get the nervousness out of you.
All right, we'll talk to you both on Live at the Half. We've taken care of all the business then. The game is next when we return to BC Place in Vancouver with more of the 1990 Grey Cup game.
We are just about set to begin this 78th Grey Cup Championship. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers will be kicking off, and that task has been assigned to Trevor Kennard, a native of Edmonton, and a man who is a key figure in Winnipeg's two Grey Cup triumphs in the 80s, 1984 and 1988. Henry the Gizmo Williams and Todd Smith are back to receive the kickoff. They are standing at about the 15-yard line, and this 78th Grey Cup game is underway. It's kicked away from Williams, not surprisingly. It goes to Smith, and Smith is down at the 32-yard line. Matt Pierce was the first downfield to make the tackle.
Well, you see right away, right off the start, the Bombers show you they can cover kicks. That is the strength of their specialty teams. You know, they don't have the giz, but they cover them. Well, Tracy Ham had an outstanding game last week. He did about all you could do. There's nothing left for Tracy Ham to do but hopefully carry it on today.
Winnipeg will try and give Tracy Ham a lot of different looks. They like to rush a minimum of 5 people. They feel that's when they're most effective defensively. There's that 5-receiver set again. Ham throws complete up the middle to Marco Sinkar.
Get a zone defense on the Bombers right away. They try to drop deep, and when Sinkar makes that break to the corner, he's got to decide where he's going. He just sits it down right in the hole, and Ham found him.
Mike Riley anticipated that the Eskimos would start this game with that 5-receiver set that was so successful last week in the Western Final against Calgary, and that's the way they began the game. That quick out pattern to Larry Willis, and that will be close to another first down. I believe it's going to be a yard short. He was tackled by Les Brown.
Well, you get your receivers into the game in a hurry, and Larry Willis needs to come up with a big game today. He's got the tough job. When you're operating against Les Brown and Rod Hill, you have problems.
Joe Farragelli on 2nd and 1 switches to that short yardage offense, and he has to be pleased with the way the Eskimos have started. A 24-yard strike to Marco Sinkar, and then a 9-yard pass to Larry Willis at 2nd and short. And Blake Marshall got to the line of scrimmage and not much further. Safety David Bevell came up very quickly as Marshall tried to get outside.
210 pounds, and he just sets in the middle of the field. When they decide where they're going with the football, he's going to try to get there as fast as he can. And to cut the legs out from under Marshall is tough to do. Watch him. He tries to bounce it outside to get running room, hopefully, but look at number 29. That's hard to do to a guy like Marshall at 230 pounds. They're about almost a saw-off. He is a very, very physical defensive back.
There are many players in the CFL who have indicated that this rookie, David Bevell, playing the safety position for Winnipeg, will be a star in the future. He's already made his presence felt, and this is his first year in the Canadian Football League.
Well, he hits like a linebacker. You know, he's a defensive back that sits in the middle, but hits like a linebacker. That's hard to get out of defensive back.
The measurement revealed that Edmonton did have a first down. The ball is at the 45-yard line. Marshall driving straight ahead for a gain of about 4, maybe 5. He is a punishing runner. He will challenge defensive backs.
If there's anything that Edmonton would like to do to get their running game going, is to take Blake Marshall and hit him straight ahead quick. If you try to run wide on the Bombers, the linebacker speed will get you. But if you can hit that defense and hit it really quick, you can spring a guy like Marshall into the secondary, and as you say, he'll look for somebody to run over.
He led the league this year in scoring rushing touchdowns. Movement at the line of scrimmage. That draws a penalty flag, and the pass is complete. And this will be a first down. Larry Willis taken out of bounds at the 34-yard line by Darrell Sampson. They acquired Willis from BC. They felt they needed more speed at their wideout position, and he provides that.
Offside. Winnipeg number 52. Decline.
The key right here is Tracy Ham is going to mix that count up. He's going to change it. Reason for it, the Bombers try to hit that everything on the run. Get that defense to learn that snap count and hit it on the run. If he changes the snap count, he'll get them jumping around, and he got him early.
Mike Gray was the man who jumped that time. Again, that 5-receiver set. Flags go down as there was movement at the line of scrimmage. Tracy Ham, one thing he has done well is learned, as you said, to manipulate that count. That time there was some problem at the line of scrimmage as the Eskimos were in that 5-receiver set again.
That's a key thing for a quarterback to learn. You get into a habit of going on the same
Edmonton number 8. First down.
The same count all the time. You must change it up. If you don't, you give the advantage to the defense. And let's face it, you call the snap count in the huddle, you want the advantage on your side.
That takes the ball back to the 39-yard line. It will be 1st and 15. Ellis, Sinkar, and Wright go wide to the left. Last week against Calgary, Ellis was the middleman. This time, he's inside. Here comes that pressure. Ham escapes, trying to run away from Mikowicz. He does, and he steps out of bounds with a gain of about 9 yards. There's also a penalty flag on the play. It could be a roughing call. A late hit charged against David Bovell.
Yeah, I don't really think he tried to hit him that hard, but he did hit him way out of bounds. Bovell was running. There was a kind of a collision course with him and Ham, and he hit him, and Ham went down, and you're going to get called for that. But he didn't really lower the boom on him, but it is a penalty. But here's the job. If Tyrone Jones spins to the inside, when you spin inside, you allow Ham outside. Now he does what he does best. Now right here, see, out of bounds, they just kind of had they run a collision course. But hey, you hit him, you take the consequences.
And that penalty moves the ball to the 15. It's 1st and 10 for the Eskimos. 11:30 is the time remaining in this opening quarter. The Eskimos have one of the best records at scoring from inside the 25-yard line. Again, movement at the line of scrimmage, and there are penalty flags as the Eskimos were not able to get the play away. Is it another procedure call against the Eskimos? That's the signal we get from the Winnipeg players. Let's see what Jake Ireland says.
Edmonton number 55. First down.
Yeah, Don, we talk about changing the count. Teams do get in a habit, whether you like to admit it or not. You will get in a habit of going on the same count a lot. And when you get into a game like this where you have to change the count, the linemen have to listen. They got to be very, very careful of the snap count.
Ball comes back to the 20-yard line. 1st and 15. Ham's pass is intercepted. Greg Battle had dropped back near the goal line, and Greg Battle is taking off, loses control of the football, but it goes out of bounds. Who was the last to touch it? The Winnipeg Blue Bombers take over on the Greg Battle interception. A 56-yard interception returned by Greg Battle. That's the second longest in Grey Cup history. Only Vern Perry's 74-yarder in 1977 for Montreal is better.
Well, we talk about the linebackers of the Bombers. They're going to be lined up all over the place. Number 34, Greg Battle, dropped all the way from his normal linebacker position. He went back and played the free safety position. Now, that lulls a quarterback into a false sense of security. You're used to seeing number 29, Bovell, in there, and they take him out. You immediately think you can throw to the post. You throw it in there, and there's a linebacker 15 yards downfield. That's just excellent defense. And really, the only reason you can do stuff like that is because of the athletic ability of Greg Battle.
So the Battle interception snuffs out an impressive Eskimo drive, and now Tom Burgess takes over. Burgess steps up and dives forward to the 40-yard line. Not noted for his scrambling ability, he destroyed the Toronto Argonauts in the Eastern Final with that late run that set up the Trevor Kennard field goal on the final play.
Yeah, he only averaged 3.7 yards a carry this year. Burgess throws the ball a lot better than he runs it. But if they're going to drop the defense deep and they're going to get upfield on him, he will have to run. They get a heck of a pass rush themselves out of only 4 people, and they don't worry about Burgess's running.
2nd and 7 from the 40-yard line. Burgess throwing the screen pass, and this is going to produce a big gain for Warren Hudson down to the Edmonton 17-yard line. Tackled there by Keith Gooch.
You know, Mike Riley's telling us they're concerned about the Eskimo pass rush. They will change their pass protection all the time so that those linemen, big linemen, this time they sprint out. All they do is sprint, get them upfield, and then dump the screen underneath the Hudson. They get Lyle Bauer, Steve Rowe, the Huskers, they're all in front of them. Well, the reason you do that, you sprint out, you drop back, you quick step, and then you throw screens. You have to keep that Edmonton defense off balance. They get a tremendous rush, especially out of Williams and Walker.
Earlier, you heard a former teammate, Don Moen, say that Warren Hudson could be a factor in today's game. He's having his best season ever. That pass is complete over the middle to Perry Tuttle. Some are wondering if this might be the final CFL game for the 31-year-old slot back. He hasn't indicated whether he is going to call it quits at the conclusion of this season or come back for another year, but that pass is close to a first down.
Well, we talk about the slot backs. The thing with Perry Tuttle is he can go deep. He averages 20 yards every time he catches a football. So when he comes off field flying, they have to give ground, and if he'll stop and turn around, he will be open a lot of times. If they don't get anybody underneath it, Tuttle will catch a lot of balls.
2nd and short for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Interestingly enough, in the 2 games Winnipeg played against Edmonton this year and won both, running back Robert Mims had his least productive days.
Well, I think that's a tribute to the Eskimo defense. They're very, very tough.
Tom Burgess keeps diving straight ahead. He'll have the first down very close to the 5-yard line. They'll probably spot it between the 5 and the 6.
You know, if you think back to the beginning of the season, everybody was talking about the Eskimos were the best team in the CFL offensively and defensively. But when they went into that tailspin and lost some ball games, that means you're giving up points. And the Eskimo defense kind of lost some of its glitter. But as you mentioned earlier, Don, they still lead the league in about 11 categories.
First and goal, Winnipeg. They are between the 5 and the 6 of the Edmonton Eskimos. Burgess looking for Robert Mims, and he was well covered. Leroy Blue was pressuring quarterback Tom Burgess, and he tried to flip that ball to Robert Mims. That's one thing Winnipeg does do offensively, is use the two backs, Mims and Hudson, in their passing attack.
Oh, they have to use them. And the reason for it is that he plays ball control. So we talk about these two guys. House is going to go on Jackson. They'll knock each other around all day. But the person you needed to see there was Mims.
Second and goal. Burgess looking, having problems, throws that ball up, and it's intercepted in the end zone. Brett Williams, no, he did not control it. As he came down, he lost control.
We saw Tom Burgess start the run, started forward, then is the last minute move back. But that defensive line, as we said, they can go all over. Brett Williams took the angle to cut him off, and when Burgess threw it up for grabs, he should have had it. He just dropped it. It hit him right in the stomach.
That's one pass Tom Burgess realizes he should not have thrown.
Well, here you can see he's tripping and falling at the same time. And there's Brett Williams taking the cutoff angle, but the ball went right through his hand, so it's going to give Kennard a chance to get 3 points.
This will be a field goal attempt of 13 yards for Trevor Kennard. It is good. So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are first on the board with 7:49 remaining in this 1990 Grey Cup game at BC Place Stadium.
The Bombers are ready for the Eskimos' 5-pack of receivers. Their strategy is to have safety Dave Bavell go one-on-one with Marco Sinkar, and linebacker Greg Battle drops back into the safety position. Because of Greg Battle's turnover, the Bombers are on the board first. Let's go to Steve.
Scott, I just talked to Craig Ellis as he went into the game. He said the Winnipeg defense were in man coverage. That's good for him. He's going to have a big day, says Craig Ellis. Don?
Well, Steve, when the Winnipeg Blue Bombers score first, they have a record of 7-1. So it's a good sign for Winnipeg that they are leading by a 3-0 score after that Trevor Kennard field goal. The toss to Michael Soles. He cuts back inside, and Michael Soles battles his way to the 44, where he's tackled by Greg Battle.
Well, talk about that 5-pack. What has to happen? The Eskimos have changed their set from last week. Craig Ellis is the inside receiver now. They've moved Marco Sinkar outside. I'm interested to see if Greg Battle will go all the way out on Sinkar. If he does, he's going to be a long way from the play. That's going to be an interesting thing to watch after listening to Scott.
7:15 the time remaining in this opening quarter. 3-0 Winnipeg leading. 2nd and 2 for the Eskimos. Blake Marshall hit right at the line of scrimmage, loses the football. Winnipeg claim they've got it. So with an interception and then the fumble recovery, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers get another scoring opportunity.
Well, watch Leon Hatsunawa, number 44. He was the first one. It looked like his right arm got in to knock the ball free. You can see Greg Battle coming on his angle of attack where he's supposed to fill the hole. But another turnover, and now they're in great field position again.
Darryl Sampson pouncing on that loose ball at the 45. 1st and 10 Winnipeg. First carry of the ball game for Robert Mims. Big hole. And Robert Mims is down to the 25-yard line. Stopped there by safety David Shelton.
Well, what they do on it is when they get that formation set to the right, Mims sits a little bit deeper in the backfield. And instead of pulling the onside guard, Nick Benjamin, they wall it off. See, number 64 is the backside guard. Bob Molly comes all the way around, and you get a solid wall on the right side from Chris Walby, Laubauer, and Nick Benjamin, and then Bob Molly leads it through the hole, and Mims picks up a lot of yardage.
20 yards for Robert Mims, the leading rusher in the Canadian Football League this year. Again, Mims, this time he stopped right at the line of scrimmage. It's interesting this year that in 8 of the games Winnipeg played, their longest play from scrimmage was 20 yards or less.
Well, that's when you talk about ball control. That's the offense that the Bombers have adopted. The reason they play that ball control offense is because of the strength of the defense. The defense turns it over, gets some good field position. They can be a very patient football club.
2nd and 10, Winnipeg. The ball at the 25. Burgess looking to throw. He has time over the middle to Robert Mims for a first down at the 10.
While we talk about Burgess, is a very accurate quarterback. He will find the open man if he's given time. He was just about out of time on that particular play, and then all of a sudden, he will find Robert Mims. Watch, Mims checks up. Blocking responsibility's gone. Danny Bass has him man-to-man, and just bang, Bass has his back turned to him, and Burgess just zips it in there in a hurry.
1st and 10, Winnipeg from just outside the 10-yard line. Burgess looking into the corner of the end zone. He was trying to find Eric Streeter, and Andre Francis had him well covered.
He's getting good pressure, too, from Mike McLean and Leroy Blue, both of them after him. Burgess threw it short, threw it out of bounds. Nobody was going to get it, but he doesn't take a sack. Andre Francis sits outside. If he's sitting on the outside, you're going to have trouble beating him on and out. That's about as well as you can cover a wide receiver, so Burgess just threw it out of bounds.
There was some doubt whether Francis would be able to play in this game because of a badly dislocated thumb that took him out of the Western Final against Calgary. But he has a cast on that thumb, and he is in the lineup. 2nd and 10, Burgess into the end zone. Lee Hull, touchdown.
Well, we talk all year long about Tom Burgess. Loves it when you play him in man-to-man coverage. And Keith Gooch is locked up on Lee Hull, and Burgess gets time. Here he comes, inside out. Get by him. Just throw the ball deep. He took his eyes off the ball, turned around to locate it, and Hull just ran away from him. And right in the corner of the end zone, Burgess dropped it right into Hull's arms.
And the point after by Trevor Kennard gives the Winnipeg Blue Bombers a 10-0 lead with 4:22 remaining in the opening quarter. We'll be back with the Winnipeg kickoff after this. 2 turnovers and 2 scores for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The fumble recovery, the touchdown pass to Lee Hull from Tom Burgess.
While we talk about Burgess, watch where he drops it. Right in the corner of the end zone, and when Gooch turned to find the football, Hull just kept going, and Burgess just dropped it in. And you don't drop it any better. It has to come down at an angle. Hull's there waiting for it.
A product of Holy Cross, a late season addition to Winnipeg after the injury to James Murphy. Trevor Kennard kicking off. Again, Todd Smith starts back with the ball, and he runs into James West in the vicinity of the 39-yard line. 25-yard run back by Todd Smith. He is partnered on that kickoff return team with Henry the Gizmo Williams, and it would appear that Winnipeg's objective this afternoon is to keep the ball away from Williams.
Yeah, they're having a little game down there. Williams and Todd Smith keep changing side, and Kennard just watches for him and kicks it to the side that Smith lines up on.
10-0, Winnipeg leads, 4:07 remaining in the opening quarter. It's 1st and 10 Edmonton, the ball just shy of the 40-yard line. Again, that 5-receiver set, that pass complete over the middle to Blake Marshall, and he'll have a gain of 6 or maybe even 7 yards. Tyrone Jones and Greg Battle both were in on the stop.
That particular time, they only rushed 4, and that's very, very unusual. But the linebackers drop out of there. They're in that 5-receiver set, and Craig Ellis is in the inside, and he's trying to go down behind Jones and Battle, but he wasn't open, so bang. Come off underneath and take what you can get, and that's 7 yards.
Defensive Player of the Year in the Canadian Football League, Greg Battle. On 2nd and 3 as Tracy Ham throws this one up. It's incomplete.
Well, we said they came with 4 last time. They brought some that time. Albert Williams, number 72, was there to put a pretty good hit on Tracy Ham along with Tyrone Jones, and you saw the ball just flutter. Now, you got a little bit lucky. He had an interception down low. He's lucky he didn't get another one. But Albert Williams is a big, big man. Watch him coming from one side and Tyrone from the other. 240 pounds is Albert Williams. That ball just flutters up in the air.
Ray McElready stands back at his 30-yard line, the rookie with his first Grey Cup punt. And an excellent kick. Winey takes it at the 23. And Winey dives forward to the 33-yard line. Stopped there by Pierre Berchevelle. Kick and punt returns are not one of Winnipeg's specialties.
No, it hasn't. But, when we're talking to Mike Riley, and we said, you've gotten better, and he started laughing. He says, we have. But, early in the year, they were just lucky to catch it. Now, Streeter had a good game returning kicks for them last week. They're not in the Gizzards class, and they've got to be careful. Keep kicking it away from him.
1st and 10, Winnipeg. The Bombers are at their own 33-yard line. Their two previous offensive series started on the Edmonton side of midfield. Robert Mims fights his way out to the 41-yard line with 2:39 remaining in the opening quarter.
That's still a pretty good job of blocking over there. Warren Hudson's always going to be the lead blocker for Robert Mims. He has to kick out on the end man on the line of scrimmage, and in that case, it's Leroy Blue. And then Bob Mully's got to try to lead Mims up through.
The Edmonton offense discussing the type of coverages they are facing. Burgos throws that pass over on the far side of the field, incomplete. He was looking for Rick House.
Catch him in that man-to-man blitz, and you come after Burgess. He reads it fast, and he gets rid of the ball quickly. That time, Rick House just down and out, tried to get the first down. He threw it low.
The veteran Bob Cameron comes into the ball game for his first punt of the day. One man back. That's Henry the Gizmo Williams. Cameron will be attempting to kick the ball so that Williams doesn't have a great deal of field with which to work.
You try to kick it from the hash mark to the numbers. You put it in the middle of the field, you ask for trouble.
First man downfield was James West. He forced Williams to turn back inside, and Ken Haley was there to make the tackle.
The first man should always make him do something. Make him hesitate, turn in. As long as you make him turn in, you're going to get help. Don't let him outside of you, and Haley's done a good job on special teams all year. He doesn't miss too many tackles.
Williams was limited to a 9-yard run back after a 52-yard kick by Bob Cameron. 1:45 the time remaining in the opening quarter. Winnipeg in front by a score of 10-0. Again, that 5-receiver set. Movement at the line of scrimmage. Draw play with Blake Marshall. Marshall is stopped for no gain, but this is almost certainly an offside call against the Blue Bombers.
I would think so. I didn't see anybody else move but the Winnipeg defensive lineman. I'm kind of watching to see how they're going to handle this 5-receiver set. They talked about moving Greg Battle out. This time they moved 72 Albert Williams out.
Jim Mills, the lineman of the year in the Canadian Football League. Earning that honor, beating out Chris Walby of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers for the award. 1st and 5, Edmonton. Blake Marshall powers his way out close to the 35-yard line. He'll be about a yard short, it would appear, of a first down. It's 2nd and 1 for the Eskimos. We're into the final minute of this opening quarter. And Marshall gets the first down out to the 39-yard line.
That's what Marshall has to do. He can't try to be fancy and stop and go. He's not built that way. He's just 230 pounds, and when he runs straight ahead, he's a load. Anything gets in his way, he's going to shove him back a yard.
They have an interesting situation with their Canadian running backs. They call their own substitution. They've got Chris Johnstone, Michael Soles, Blake Marshall, and Ryan Wallach. Here's the pressure from Tyrone Jones, and he's got Tracy Ham for a loss back at the 28.
We talk about the 5 receivers of Edmonton. When they go to the zone defense, it looks like they have a linebacker out on Ellis. but this time they don't. They put Daryl Sampson on. That could be a key later. They bring the linebackers. You can see right here, number 54, Vercheval, has a hard time, cannot even slow him down. And Tyrone Jones, you can't let a guy 250 pounds that can run like he can come free.
He had 11 sacks during the regular season. Again, all sorts of movement at the line of scrimmage. This time, I think it may be a procedure call against the Eskimos. It appeared as though Trevor Bowles moved out of his stance prior to the ball being snapped.
He sure moved in a hurry, and once he moved, that allows Winnipeg to take off. This one will come back.
Procedure. Edmonton number 66. Decline. Third down.
That is also the final play of the opening quarter. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers decline the procedure call against Trevor Bowles. They lead 10-0. Tyrone Jones, the 1985 Shenley Award winner with that sack of quarterback Tracy Ham, is now #1 in career sacks in Grey Cup competition. He leads some impressive people in that category. Rick Klassen played most of his career with the BC Lions. Dave Fennell, Dr. Death with the Edmonton Eskimos. Grover Covington, the CFL's all-time sack leader with Hamilton. Another fine kick by McAready. Winey takes it at the 18. And Winey is downed at the 31. One of the reasons Winnipeg doesn't have great returns is that they place their emphasis in going after a block.
Well, when you have Rod Hill, who's had the success that he's had coming after the kicker, and then when they got Rob Crefo, that 6'6" coming up the middle, they put fear in the other team, so they don't worry too much about the returns. They take their chance at blocking them.
We so often refer to that statistic, second from the bottom on the left-hand side. That has been the key of the game so far. 2 turnovers, both led to points, a field goal and a touchdown. Warren Hudson is stacked up inside. It's going to be tough to run up the middle against the likes of Mike Walker and Brett Williams.
Well, you get those two inside and put Danny Bass right behind them. That, you're asking a lot for your offensive line to be able to root all 3 of them out of there.
Trying to run against that man is almost more difficult than trying to find a genuine Milli Vanilli recording. Mike Walker, who came over to the Edmonton Eskimos from the Hamilton Tiger Cats, often double teamed in the team's offensive schemes. Is this really the Tom Burgess we have come to know over the last couple of years? He runs for what appears to be a first down.
Well, you can pick your spots. You don't have to run every game. You just pick the games you want to run in. One thing you know for sure, if he gets hurt today, he's got a long off season to get well. Again, just a 4-man rush. See, Leroy Blue upfield. They wall off the defensive line, in that case, Mike Walker, and then he just runs until Danny Bass can finally go get him.
1st and 10 from the 43-yard line. The fake to Robert Mims, and Burgess carries to the 45. Right now on the sidelines, let's bring in Steve Armitage.
Don, just a few moments ago, quarterback Tracy Ham called a mini-team meeting of the Edmonton Eskimos to get this club fired up. They are very flat. They are down, so Ham decided, not the coaches, to take things into his own hands. Don?
Steve, I think some of the problems may be in trying to figure out what Winnipeg is doing against that 5-receiver set.
Yeah, they're changing it up. They're not giving the Eskimos the look that I think the Eskimos were expecting.
Tom Burgess throws that screen to Warren Hudson. Hudson was tripped up from behind by Brett Williams, but he still gets the first down.
When you catch a team in a man-to-man blitz and Larry Ruck come from his outside linebacker position inside up the middle, and then all Hudson does is just give him a shove or let him go and then throw it in the hole. Watch coming from the right. There's Larry Ruck coming. As soon as he goes by, Hudson just turns around. You get the 2 blue jerseys right out in front of him, and Hudson's got a lot of running room.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 52 of the Eskimos. Pass to Streeter. He was one-on-one with Andre Francis, and then Larry Ruck came over to help out.
That's the reason on a stop pattern like that, Don, you always try to turn the receiver back to the inside because you will get some help. All right, he stopped. Now Francis comes up outside in, so he has to go in, and that's what you should get. A linebacker coming across to help him. Ruck with a 20-yard run just drops him. You're not big enough to mess with Larry Ruck.
A graduate of the Saskatoon Hilltop Junior program. It's 2nd and about 6.5. Mims on the draw play. He loses the football. Mark Mathis has it. Mathis still on his feet. He's running a long way, and he's back at the point where he originally scooped up that loose ball, but it's a big turnover as the Edmonton Eskimos will take over with 11:08 remaining in the half. During the week, so many people have been talking and writing about Winnipeg's defensive play, forgetting that the Eskimos have a pretty solid defensive team of their own. The ball is stripped from Robert Mims on that hit from the backside by Mike McLean, and Mark Mathis, the smallest man in the secondary, 5'9", 165 pounds, picks it up.
Yeah, the bad thing, he should have just fell down. He brings it all the way back over. I think he's trying to return it, to where it was. He only is 5 yards away from where he picked it up.
That's his net gain on the return. 1st and 10 Edmonton from their own 44-yard line. That quick pass to Marco Sinkar, who takes a hit from Dave Bovell.
This game's going to be a very, very physical game. But here's what we want to finally going to look at, Don. We talk about that 5-pack of the Eskimos. They set the receivers up. The man inside is Craig Ellis. Now, last week he was out in the middle where Marco Sinkar is. They have made the switch for a reason. If Winnipeg is going to blitz a man-to-man, then Dave Bovell has to cover him, and that's what they're hoping. That's the matchup that they're looking for, and it looks like, wow, they're not going to get that matchup regardless.
Pressure from Randolph. Ham gets away, now being pursued by Williams, but gets the first down. Brought down by Darrell Sampson. It looked as though Randolph had him for a big loss.
While we talk about athletic ability, Tracy Ham showed all the athletic ability in the world. He is almost down, but watch him bounce away from the shots. Albert Williams, 72, comes from the outside along with Paul Randolph. But look at that. He just pulls away, and up here he can see the 1st and 10 marker, and he is trying to get to it. Lowers the head right here. It's going to be first down for the Eskimos.
1,096 rushing yards this season for Tracy Ham. First and 10 from the 54. He gives the ball to Blake Marshall, and he'll have about 5. Stopped by Mike Gray.
We've had a lot of extracurricular activity after the last 3 or 4 plays inside between Winnipeg and Edmonton, and it doesn't matter whether it's offense or defense for either team. It's a pretty heated rivalry over the years, but it seems like this year they're just not very fond of one another.
Well, both coaches, Joe Faragelli and Mike Riley, told us that they expected a very physical football game. Here comes Albert Williams from the backside. Ham gets the pass away. It was behind Craig Ellis. And one of the reasons it was behind Craig Ellis, Ham had to throw it a lot earlier than he wanted to.
And what they're doing in a secondary with it, they wanted to get Bovell on Ellis, but they're not getting him. What they're doing when they're in man-to-man cover, they are bringing Haley inside to cover Ellis right here. See, he's got him man-to-man. All this is a crossing pattern. You get the collision, but Ham didn't have a chance to throw the football.
Haley and Bovell ran into each other on that crossing pattern. McAreedy goes back to the 45-yard line with 8:46 remaining in the half. Edmonton trailing by a score of 10-0. Winey and Streeter are back for this 3rd down kick. And it's another good one by the rookie. Winey lets it bounce into the end zone. And he draws a no-yards flag. He had Shelton trapped inside. An alert play by Ken Winey. It looked as though it was going for a single point. It will not. Winnipeg's original intent on that Ray McAreedy punt of 55 yards was to concede a single point. There was a no yards call. Winnipeg has declined. They are going to give Edmonton the single point They prefer to get the improved field position out to the 35-yard line.
Yeah,
Mike Riley's intent initially was to concede the single point anyway.
Yeah, they let the ball go. They didn't try to catch it. They wanted it in the end zone. So when they got caught for no yards, if they get rid of the point, they only get the ball out to the 10. He didn't want it there. He says, I was going to give you a point. I'm going to give it to you because I want good field position.
Burgess to the sidelines to Rick House, his first catch of this Grey Cup game, taken out of bounds at the 41 by Mark Mathis. Rick House, the leading receiver this year for Winnipeg. Winnipeg did not have a receiver with 1,000 passing yards.
No, I was a little bit surprising, but I think basically it comes down to the injuries. You know, Murphy was in there for a while. Tuttle was in and out. When you don't have the guy in there all along to be your big gunner, you're not going to get the 1,000 yards. When you look at Edmonton, Larry Willis had 1,000 yards, but most of them were with BC.
Second down pass to Rick House. He had to get up to the 45-yard line for a first down. He was bounced out of bounds by Andre Francis. At that Winnipeg bench, they are complaining about the spot they're getting from line judge Ed Dunn. It would appear they are going to be just a little shy of the first down. But I think it's in position where they will go after it.
I think it'll be about 2 inches short. The ball has to get onto the line. Some part of it. I couldn't see just where before they moved the sticks, but it's going to be just a touch short.
A little more than 2 inches, but it is 3rd and inches. Scott?
Well, Don, here at the Bomber bench, they're concerned about a couple of minor injuries. Dave Lavelle, the safety, has tweaked his left knee. He's got ice on it right now, will be held out from specialty teams, will play defense. Starting center Lyle Bauer has strained a ligament in his right knee, but he's going to try and play with it.
Nick Benjamin may be moving into the center position if Lyle Bauer is having some problems. Now Lyle Bauer is moving up over the ball. On 3rd down, they drive straight ahead, and they get the first down. They had to be beyond the 45-yard line, and they have succeeded.
You notice how they came out of the huddle in a hurry. They got up there to the ball and got down. Get all the weight forward on your hands, because all you want is that initial impact off the line of scrimmage to allow Burgess to fall across that line. He got almost 1.5 yards. So very hard to stop them when they get down behind those shoulder pads.
Mike Riley had some very complimentary things to say today about Tom Burgess. He said he has learned to play our offense according to what we do on special teams and defense. Long throw for Perry Tuttle, incomplete. It's not often he'll go downtown.
No, but the thing that we know Tom Burgess will do, if you give him the man-to-man coverage with the blitz, and he will read it as quickly as he does. He knew he had the guy he wanted. The guy he wants is Tuttle, the slot back, one-on-one on Mark Mathis in a straight sprint to the goal line. Rather than take the chance and wait, he just throws it up high and hopes that Tuttle can run and get it. That time he couldn't.
Gary Durchik doing some work at the Edmonton bench. He's the offensive line coach. And he obviously is explaining what those offensive linemen have to do in order to try and pick up those blitzing Winnipeg linebackers.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of heat. What he's got to do is reassure them that what they talked about all week is still good and that they are doing that. They just got to execute a little better.
2nd and 10 from the 46. Burgess again going deep, and this is way over the head of Eric Streeter. He was bumped by Andre Francis as he tried to come off the line of scrimmage.
He had no chance. Francis had him covered like a blanket. He could not get a step on him either way. Francis took the good line on him, and when he come off, he gave him the initial bump, and then he just ran with him, but he was in complete control.
6:27 is the time remaining in the half. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers leading by a score of 10-1. Saw that big cast on the right hand of Andre Francis. That's protecting the dislocated thumb. The injury suffered last week against the Calgary Stampeders. Cameron stands at his own 31-yard line. That ball way over his head. However, Cameron will get time to get the kick away. And it takes a good Winnipeg bounce. Shelton picks it up at the 38 and is bounced out of bounds at the 40. Winnipeg was fortunate there. 6:03 is the time left in the half.
Prior to kickoff today, CFL Commissioner Donald Crump made a special presentation to honor members of the armed forces currently in the Persian Gulf and those who are heading there soon.
Commander Oakley, on behalf of the Canadian Football League, I'd like to dedicate today's game in honor of the forces serving in the Persian Gulf. And would you please accept this ball in remembrance of that?
Thank you very much, Mr. Crump, and I'm pleased to accept it. And thank you very much from Admiral Cairns, the ship's companies of Restigouche Huron, and indeed all the Armed Forces personnel here today.
And we sincerely hope that all those difficulties in the Persian Gulf are resolved soon.
Eskimos have gone away from their 5 receiver set. Now they're going to come back and try to play the normal style of ball they played most of the year.
1st and 10 from the 40-yard line, and Blake Marshall gets a pretty good hole for a gain of about 9 yards. That's Stuart Hill over there helping on the sidelines. How they missed the 17 quarterback sacks that he contributed during the course of the year.
Well, Stuart Hill and Reggie Taylor, you just cannot take people out that are so vital to you. You know, you get the great rush inside from Walker and Williams, but Hill on the outside, boy, he gets there quick. It's a big, big loss for the Eskimos. 2nd and 1 after Blake Marshall picked up 9. And this time, Marshall is across the 50 for a first down. It's block it down, and pull the left guard, Pierre Vercheval, number 54. He just wants to try to find a little bit of a crease that he can get through, and if he can get through it, then Marshall wants to follow him.
Got good size along that offensive line. Blake Dermott, 270. Pierre Vercheval, 275. Rod Conop, 265. Andrew McConnell, 295. And Trevor Bowles, 280.
Big offensive line. They gave up a lot of sacks this year, but I think a lot of that was still in the growing process of like a quarterback like Tracy Ham. You know, he's still learning, but at the last couple of games, if they know this, if they keep him off of him, he'll get the job done. Big task today against the Bombers.
4:59 remaining in the half. It's a 10-1 game. Winnipeg leading. 3 receivers wide right this time. Marshall and Walling in the backfield. Tracy Ham is being pursued by Stan Mikowicz. He gets away with a nice move as he cuts back inside. And then a fine tackle by Ken Haley. He cut down Tracy Ham at the midfield stripe.
Just by the alignment, Don, you could tell this was going to be a zone defense. Bavell was lined up very, very deep. And then all they do is just drop those linebackers back. Now, when Tracy starts running, there is not one Eskimo receiver on this side of the field. Gray can't get him, and as he starts back, he needed to beat this guy right here. If he beats him, he's going to make yards because he's got some blockers. But we said before, Haley's an outstanding special teams player. He's used to tackling in open field.
2nd and 6 over the middle to Walling. Brought down by Bavell, but not before Walling picks up a first down at the 45-yard line. One of the reasons Edmonton went to that 5 receiver set last week against Calgary was that Brian Walling was injured the week before against Saskatchewan. So Joe Farragelli made that decision, put in that type of game plan against the Stampeders. He experimented with it early in this game and now has reverted to the more conventional offensive set.
Well, I think he has to be concerned with the protection. I think that's got to be number 1 on the list right now.
The toss to Walling, and Walling is caught for a loss by Greg Battle.
Well, we said earlier, you will not be able to get outside of the Bomber defense very easily. They have the tremendous speed at linebacker, and when they try to go outside, Battle's out there waiting on him. He has no chance to get outside. Look, Battles reads it. He sees it. Now get up on the line of scrimmage, dodges the block, and he's there to make the tackle. He got there before the blocker, so that shows you the speed that he has.
And plays such as that, one of the reasons that Greg Battle was chosen Defensive Player of the Year in the CFL. 3:04 remains in the half. The Blue Bombers lead the Eskimos with 3:04 remaining in the first half in this 78th Grey Cup Championship at BC Place Stadium. battle, dropping Walling for a loss of 1. It's 2nd and 11 Edmonton from the 46-yard line. Over the head of the intended receiver, slot back Craig Ellis. He led the league in receptions this year with 106.
Tracy Ham that time got back in the pocket, but the pressure, he's getting so much pressure in him, he can't set those feet and run. What you want to watch for is watch him. He can't get set. His feet are continually moving. Watch him. See, they're going, and he throws off balance, and as a result, he throws it too far out in front. If he could get the feet set and step forward and throw, boy, he had Ellis wide open, but he wasn't able to, and that's that pressure from those Winnipeg linebackers.
Impressive punting so far by the University of Western Ontario product Ray McArady. And it would appear that the Eskimos are a man short on their punt team, and as a result, they're going to take a delay of game for that extra man to get out there. And there's the whistle. Joe Farragelli is asking at the bench, what happened?
Yeah, you saw him turn around and look right away to the bench. Who is supposed to be out there that isn't?
Still 3rd down.
So that takes the ball back to the Edmonton 54-yard line. It is still 3rd down. And that's the time remaining in the half. 2 minutes, 49 seconds. Winnipeg in front by a score of 10-1. Another fine punt by McArady. Winey goes back to the 5-yard line and dives forward to about the 24. Scott?
Don, on Live at the Half today, we'll check in with some Canadians who are watching this game in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We'll talk to the head coaches. We'll watch some of the halftime show here at BC Place. We'll hear from our game day analysts, Kent Austin of Saskatchewan, Don Moen of Toronto, and Hall of Fame commentator Don Whitman will have some analysis of his own with another member of the Hall of Fame, Ron Lancaster. Yes, we're pleased to say that Don Whitman was inducted yesterday into the Canadian Football Reporters Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Don.
Thank you, Scott. Those fellows show up every year at the Grey Cup game and obviously enjoy themselves. Robert Mims was caught by Michel Bourgeau. He wasn't going anywhere. And that is typical of the way these teams have played this year. Edmonton shutting down Winnipeg's ground game.
Yeah, this is what you expect. This is what I expected coming into the game. They would try to run Mims inside, but let's watch it. Here goes Molly again trying to get up through. But look at this. Michel Bourgeau from the backside. When they pulled Bob Molly, he came right down the line of scrimmage and just took him right into the ball carrier.
2nd and 13 after that loss of 3. This is deep for Winey. He makes the catch. And they're ruling it's a good one up at the 54-yard line. Mike McLean was protesting that Winey was out of bounds, but he managed to keep those feet inside the white stripe for a gain of 33.
This is what they refer to as an out and go or a wheel pattern by the inside receiver. They ran Streeter off, but coming from the outside is Winey. He turns upfield. Mark Mathis chases him. He's got 1 foot inbounds when he catches it. Legal play. Referee was right on it.
And Mike Riley was right there as well to offer his opinion, which of course was not required and would not have been listened to anyway. Robert Mims to the 49 of the Eskimos, stopped there by Brett Williams. A pickup of about 6 yards, and will be 2nd and 4 Winnipeg with 2:07 remaining in the first half. Mims led the CFL this year, 285 carries, 1,341 yards. He was the only tailback in the entire league to play all 18 games.
That's pretty difficult to do. That's quite a feat for him. 18 games is a lot of beating for a guy that they know is going to carry the ball 20, 25 times a game.
2nd and 4. Burgess is looking to throw, but he is prevented from doing so by Leroy Blue. One of the adjustments the Eskimos had to make when Stuart Hill was lost for the year with an injury is move Leroy Blue to a rush end position. He was just beginning to develop as a strong defensive end. rather than that rush end spot.
Well, he's had the tough job, but he knows one thing. He's a linebacker originally, and he's got great speed. And all you saw there was him lay out and get the arms around Burgess to bring him down. But he has really come a long way, especially if you're playing 3 different positions in 1 year.
Yes, he's been at the linebacker spot. He's been at that rush end position, and he comes up with a Grey Cup sack as he drops Tom Burgess back at the Winnipeg 49-yard line with 1:44 remaining in the half. Nick Benjamin, who centered the ball on that previous punt, this time gets it back accurately to Bob Cameron. And again, the ball takes a Winnipeg bounce. Williams on the sidelines has nowhere to go.
That's just what a coach wants. Kick that football, hash mark to the sideline. And it's better if you can go from the numbers to the sideline. That time, it was right in the middle, and all the blue jerseys just come down, and they close the door. You have nowhere to go, no return.
A 46-yard punt, a 1-yard run back. Mike Riley said that's what the Winnipeg Blue Bombers would attempt to do, directionally punt the football, and that time it worked very well.
When you punt from the middle of the field, very difficult to kick it out of bounds, but you kick it away from the Giz, make him go get it.
1:31 remaining in the half. Many anticipated it would be a low-scoring game, and so far it has been just that. A tough defensive struggle here at BC Place Stadium. Blake Marshall puts his head down and challenges a couple of would-be tacklers. Paul Randolph made the initial contact with Blake Marshall.
Well, you try to come up the middle, you know, those linebackers aren't going to move until the quarterback goes past the fullback. He just sat right in there and waited on it, and all he does is go and make the hit.
A pickup of 2. It will be 2nd and 8. 1:16 left in the half. The Eskimos came into this Grey Cup game as the favored team. One of the reasons is the receiving skills of Craig Ellis, who has a first down out to the 38-yard line. Stopped by David Bovell.
He finally got the man-to-man coverage that he wanted, and he got enough time to throw the football. Craig Ellis just went down the field and broke across the middle with Ken Haley chasing him. All right, watch him. Give him the move. Take the hit. Now you're going to go upfield, and he'll break away from him right here. Lead him away. Come back to the football and catch it. And then Bovell has to make the tackle, but it picks up the first down.
We're into the final minute of this opening half.
Taking a lot of time.
1st and 10 from the 38-yard line. Ham over the middle again to Craig Ellis. All season, Craig Ellis was the favorite target for Tracy Ham. He caught that one in front of Ken Haley, who brought down the Edmonton slot back, not before he picked up another first down.
He should be on the line of scrimmage. They should be in a hurry-up offense. They're down to 40 seconds. He was scrambling around that time. Ellis does find the hole, which he can do, and he does it well, but he's wasting time.
Jones is after Ham. So is Gray. Ham goes out of bounds about a yard short, it would appear, of a first down.
He used 23 seconds. When the ball was snapped on the clock, there was 48 seconds left. He ran around with that football, scrambling around. He couldn't get rid of it. He had nowhere to throw it. Here they come. The linebackers got him corralled. He can't step up. And we said in the pregame, Don, we're talking, he's not going to be able to outrun him too often outside. This time he was lucky, but they're getting those ends upfield. But still, he's down to 25 seconds. Greg Battle seems to be shaking up a little bit down there. That's who they're looking at.
Winnipeg has been shifting their linebackers. James West was the designated import coming into the game. He has gone into the ball game replacing Paul Randolph on occasion, and they've been flip-flopping those linebackers around. And if Greg Battle comes out, they are in the fortunate position of having that 5th linebacker dressed for today's game.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We were talking with Mike Riley a little bit before the game, you know, and he was talking about, you know, he would have liked to got Petway back on the roster. But you see Greg Battle, he just pulled something. It was never no contact or anything. He just turned to run with Marco Sincar, and he pulled up lane. So as it's going to look like it's going to turn out, it's a good thing they got James West dressed for this football game today.
So Greg Battle will come out. James West will go in. He missed 7 games as the result of a broken arm. 2nd and 3 for Edmonton. The ball at the 50-yard line. Quickly inside to Craig Ellis for a first down.
See, this is what I was expecting Tracy Ham to do. If they're going to fire those linebackers like they like to do, you just stand up and throw that football over top of them. Craig Ellis sees that linebacker go. He's a very, very smart receiver. He'll find an open area. You give it to him.
Craig Ellis provides the Eskimos with a first down. 20 seconds remaining in the half. Tracy Ham gets that pass away over the middle, and a Craig Ellis reception provides the Eskimos with another first down. 4
That's why we have it.
Passes
Tracy Ham, Craig Ellis show right now, just down and across the middle, but 13 seconds. He's still got to get ready. There he comes, wide open, zone defense. Find the hole, make the catch. Haley chases him across and makes the tackle, but they got time for 2 plays yet.
Ham 4 for 4, throwing the football 56 yards. Keith Wright in the end zone, knocked away by Les Brown.
Great coverage by Les Brown. You know, he give him a step, 1 step, and then all he did was run with him, looking back at the football all the way down the field. And when that ball was in the area, Les Brown just turned around and bats it down. All right, watch the coverage. Look at Les Brown. Look. He's got him inside. Now he's watching the football. Watch him close. Right? Just go up with that right end. That's all you have to do. Les Brown does it well. We talked about them in the opening. They are great corners, Hill and Brown.
Well, Mike Riley's feeling was that Rod Hill and Les Brown could handle the Edmonton Eskimo wideouts, Keith Wright and Larry Willis. Ray McErady will be attempting a 37-yard field goal. And it is good. 1 second is the time remaining in the first half, with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers leading by 6 points.
Well, it's been a good football game. I like the way we called it. It was going to be a defensive battle. I didn't think it was going to be a runaway high-scoring game. The 2 turnovers of Edmonton in the first 2 possessions, that's the difference in the ball game right now.
23-20 the first time they met, and that was Edmonton's lowest offensive production of the year. 48-25 the second time they met, and that 48-point total represented Winnipeg's biggest scoring spree of the season. They're checking the right foot of Winnipeg linebacker Greg Battle. The Blue Bombers are going to be quite content to snap this ball and head to the dressing room, enjoying a 6-point lead in this 78th edition of the Grey Cup game. Tom Burgess with 1 touchdown pass to Lee Hull following an Edmonton fumble. Earlier, Winnipeg had a field goal from Trevor Kennard after a Greg Battle interception. Right now, let's bring in Steve Armitage.
Thank you very much, Don. Joe Farragelli, the head coach of the Edmonton Eskimos, is with me. Joe, that's a good way to finish the half. You put some points on the board.
Well, yeah, it was good to put some points. We played a terrible game, you know, coughing up the ball, mistakes. I don't know if we're tight or whatever it is, but considering that, we're only down by 6 points, so we'll have to straighten them out.
Did the Bomber defense give you some new looks that you weren't expecting?
Same thing. When we calm down and don't jump off sides and just throw the ball and run it, we're okay.
Towards the end of the half, you seem to be able to get the Tracy Ham, Craig Ellis combination going.
Right, yeah, they were running some crossing patterns, and Craig was open. We had a lot of time to throw the ball, and we completed.
You're right about the team looking a little flat, a little down. Can you explain that?
No, not really, but if you let me go, I'll get in the locker room and find out.
Now, what are you going to say to these guys in the dressing room at halftime?
Well, you know, we're down by 6 points. We played a terrible half. Imagine if we'd have played good, what could happen. So I think that's the message.
Joe, good luck.
Right,
thank you very much. Let's go to Scott.
Steve, I'm with Mike Riley, the head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who lead by 6 at the half. And, Mike, I suggest you have that lead because you were prepared for the Eskimos' 5-pack of receivers. That made a big difference early.
We did a good job. Greg Battle made a big play early in the game on a drive that they had going. And, you know, besides that, it's been a hard-fought half, and I hated to give up those points there just before the half.
Happy with the pressure you got on Tracy Ham because you knew that would be a major factor in this game.
It is a major factor, and we just have to now finish some of those plays off. We had him corralled more than we got him, and he's done an outstanding job at taking off on us, so I hope that we can just hold him, make some plays on him in the backfield now.
Thanks for your time, Mike. I know you want to get to the room.
Scott.
Well, Don, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers came into this game as 2.5-point underdogs. They have escaped the first half with a 6-point lead.
Leading by 6, and Ron, I think the game is pretty much gone as you anticipated it would.
Yeah, both defenses are dominating. I got a kick out of Mike saying they got to do a little bit better job of corralling him. I think they've done a heck of a job. He's only managed to escape that rush maybe 2 or 3 times, and they've had the rush on him every time he's gone back to pass.
Much has been made of that 5-receiver set, but it's not really that much different from what the Toronto Argonauts throw at you with Pinball Clemens.
Yeah, it's really not complicated. It's just a different set than Edmonton's normally plays. They put 3 receivers to one side, 2 to the other, with Blake Marshall in the backfield. Winnipeg's going to come after that thing, but they haven't got the matchup on it that they thought they were going to get from the Bombers.
10-4, Winnipeg leads Edmonton at the half, and live at the half from BC Place Stadium will continue after this.
We are at the half of the 1990 Grey Cup game. They have dimmed the lights here at BC Place for the halftime show. We'll see some of it in just a few moments. But right now, we want to go to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and check in with our Canadian audience at the Penalty Box Sports Bar. Colleen Jones is there for Live at the Half. Colleen?
Thank you, Scott. We're at the Penalty Box live. We're watching the CFL on CBC. All kinds of keen fans here having their Grey Cup party in Fort Lauderdale, and they're having a great time, as you can see. Now, the owner of all of this is Rosie Paymon, who many Canadians know because he used to play in the NHL. Rosie, are you surprised of the interest in the CFL down here?
No, you can see right behind us there, we got about 100 people behind listening to the game. A lot of Winnipeg fan here, and a few Eskimo fan, and it's great atmosphere, and the people's having a great time. You know, you could see the way they're yelling there, and it's a lot of fun. You know, and I play hockey in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I love it down in the West. And to cheer which one I will cheer for, you know, I look at the game a little different than most of the people. I enjoy the game. I enjoy the professional playing the way they're playing, and the crowd, they're having a great party here. It's hard to understand each other.
And this isn't the first time you've had this.
No, I've been here 13 years, so we have this party all the time. Like even last week, we had both game on, and it was a good crowd. And so they really respond well, and when I let them know that we're going to be having CBC here, that was great, and they think it's the greatest thing. You can see right behind us.
Well, we are having a great time.
We having a great time.
Yes. All right, you guys, who's going to win? They're split here, Scott, about who's going to win this game, but they are having one great Grey Cup party here in Florida. Back to you, Scott.
All right, Colleen, and apparently Grey Cup festivities are nicely underway at the Penalty Box Sports Bar in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Our thanks to Colleen Jones for braving all the noise there. The score at the half of the 1990 Grey Cup game is Winnipeg 10, Edmonton 4. Stay with us. Live at the Half returns in just a moment. Welcome back to BC Place at halftime of the 1990 Grey Cup game. The halftime show this year is called Stronger Together. The theme is unity. It has a cast of 450, one of them vocalist Dee Daniels. Let's watch her perform now.
Somebody's got a problem, you gotta find the answer. The answer
Welcome back to BC Place Stadium. A 6-point spread in this 78th edition of the Grey Cup game. Any key plays in that first half?
Yeah, there sure were. One that hurt a drive and one I think we're going to see again. The first one we're going to look at is Greg Battle's interception. We were told that they would take David Bovell out of the middle and they would replace him at free safety with Greg Battle. Now, you see the linebackers, they're drawn there because of a blitz. When Blake Marshall steps up, Paul Randolph will cover him. But watch where Greg Battle goes. He drops 15 yards right on the hash mark, right in front of the quarterback. All he does is read Tracy Ham and go to the football. Les Brown knows he's got help inside, so he stays behind him, and Greg Battle steps in front and makes an interception. That is athletic ability.
That set the stage for a Trevor Kennard field goal. A 56-yard return by Greg Battle.
Now, I think we'll see this play again. This is the screen. The key players are Nick Benjamin at the right guard position, number 68. The center, Lyle Bauer, number 59. Now, Larry Ruck is going to come from his linebacker position into there, and we're going to see Hudson hit him and set this screen just the way you draw it up in practice. This is very, very well executed. Here they come. Watch them. Larry Ruck's going to try to get him now. Right here. That's excellent. Bump him and let him go, and you get that ball in the back's hand with two blue jerseys out in front of him. I think we have to see this some more, Don, because that pressure's starting to get close to Burgess. We need some more screens.
10-4 is the halftime score from the booth. Let's go to the sidelines and Scotto.
All right, Don, and here on the sidelines, the house lights just now starting to come back up at BC Place following the halftime show that entertained this crowd. And the second half of this game is up next when we return to BC Place in Vancouver with more of the 1990 Grey Cup game. As Live at the Half continues at halftime of this 1990 Grey Cup game at BC Place, the house lights are finally bright enough to allow us to see our game day analysts, Saskatchewan quarterback Kent Austin and Argo linebacker Don Moen. Kent, first of all, do you think the Eskimos stayed in that 5-receiver pack formation too long?
I think they did. They didn't go back to their base offense till late in the second quarter, and I didn't really understand what they were trying to get out of that 5-receiver package. They had Bovell in coverage every time, except for once on Sincar, and they never threw Sincar the ball. Plus, they just couldn't protect Tracy in that offense.
So you're suggesting that the Eskimos should be dancing with the one that brung them?
Well,
going
that's right.
With what got them here.
Their offense that brought them here, they didn't get back till late in the second quarter. And Tracy needs to go back to doing what he does well, and that's having a base offense.
Well, Don, prior to the game in our countdown show, we talked a lot about the matchup of the Bomber linebackers and the Eskimo offensive line. You would give that first half decision to the Bomber linebackers.
There's no question about it. I think that they've done a great job of shutting down Tracy Ham, containing him, not letting him do the things that he's successful at doing, throwing the ball deep, and if people are covered running the ball, they've done a really super job on him.
You want to gloat over what you said about Warren Hudson being a factor in this game, because he was in the first half.
Yeah, it's an easy prediction because he's done it all year. We keyed in on it last week and we shut him down and we had a chance to win the football game, and Edmonton has not shut down that screen game yet, and they have to do it in the second half if they hope to win.
While we're getting plugs in, you said something profound about Gizmo Williams. You thought the Winnipeg specialty teams would be able to defend against him to shut him down, and they did in the first half. He did not provide the Eskimos with great field position.
No, Winnipeg's got great cover teams, and to get another plug in, I also said the Winnipeg defense would be the difference in the ball game, and they got 2 turnovers that led to both of Winnipeg scores.
Don, if you want to talk about defense and describe the Bombers, you do it in one word: turnovers.
Yeah, they've done it all year, and they're doing it again today. It's, they've been successful with it, and they're doing the things that they've been successful with, and I give them credit for that.
Quickly, let's talk about adjustments, because the Eskimos could lose this game in the locker room if they don't make the right decisions. What do they have to do in the second half?
Well, I think they're fortunate to be at halftime only down 4 points. I think they need to come out, run the offense that they've run all year long, keep 2 backs in the backfield, protect Tracy, and keep working the same patterns that got Ellis open at the end of the first half.
Don, we don't want to say the Winnipeg offense is predictable, but as I stood with you and Kent on the sidelines, you called every one of the plays they made. If you can figure it out, why can't the Eskimos?
Yeah, we were pretty well prepared for what they did, and they are a predictable offense. They do only certain things out of certain sets, so hopefully the Edmonton coaches are in there keying in the defense, and they'll do a better job in the second half.
All right, thank you both, and stay with us throughout the second half of the game. We'll check in with you at the conclusion of the 1990 Grey Cup game. And here at BC Place, the house lights are almost bright enough now to allow for the second half kickoff, so let's go upstairs to Don and Ron.
Thank you, Scott. Hi again, everybody. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers with a 10-4 lead, and statistically in the first half, it was just about as even as the score would indicate. Just a slight difference in total yards in favor of the Edmonton Eskimos. And the Eskimos are 4 yards behind Winnipeg in the passing department. This is pretty much according to the form chart. The Eskimos with a little closer balance in their passing and running game, but the teams have used the type of offense for the most part that got them here.
Yeah, you can't make changes now. You've got to stay with what you do best. I mean, that's why you are in the championship game. And this is the guy they've got to make the plays on. I like we talked to him in our minute or so there about corralling Tracy, and they've done a good job of corralling him. He's running for his life, and when he's running for his life, he can make mistakes.
Ray McAreedy getting set to kick off to start the second half here at BC Place Stadium. Ken Haley takes the ball on the dead run, looking for some blocking help, and he fights his way out to the 38-yard line, stopped there by Rob Davidson.
Still good field position to start. Now we're going to have to see if Burgess has settled down and understanding completely what Edmonton was doing, and is Edmonton going to make any changes? They've got to come up with something different because Burgess is finding holes.
First and 10 Winnipeg. The ball is at the 38. Burgess has had a preference for his slot backs as far as the Winnipeg passing attack is concerned through the first half of the ball game. And this is to the running back, Warren Hudson, up at the 50-yard line.
That was a great job by Tom Burgess of using his eyes. I'll guarantee you Hudson didn't see where that football came from. Burgess is running around in the hole, and Larry Ruck's got Hudson man-to-man. Now watch when Burgess comes back. He finds him in a hurry, and he just lets it go. Larry Ruck probably didn't see it, and Hudson makes a nice effort. He just jumps out and catches the football. But Burgess will find the guy. He's quick. He's got quick release, and he's got quick hands.
Kent Austin was saying earlier that Tom Burgess has changed his approach to playing quarterback in the move from Saskatchewan to Winnipeg. In Saskatchewan, he liked the big play. In Winnipeg, he has been forced to be more patient.
We've talked about that all year. That's the difference in Tom Burgess from 1990. He's learned to play the Winnipeg system. That's ball control. That means you have to be patient.
First and 10 from the 50. Burgess is going to run this one, and he'll pick up about 7 yards. On the sidelines, let's bring in Steve.
Don, this is the kind of news that the Eskimos and their fans didn't need to hear. At the half, the veteran receiver, Marco Sinkar, was taken to the hospital with a bruised kidney. Sinkar taken to the hospital with a bruised kidney. Don?
Marco Sinkar, who has participated in 7 Grey Cup games, and that is indeed a blow to the Edmonton Eskimos. So Joe Farragelli will be forced to make some offensive adjustments as a result. They're going to be short of a first down. Michel Bourgeau stopping Warren Hudson. It appears about 2 yards away from first down territory.
Yeah, I think you kick the football. Watch Danny Bass get to him. He gets blocked. Excellent job of blocking. I think it's Lau Bauer, number 59, puts Bass down, but Bourgeau fights back through it to make the play.
So Bob Cameron enters the ball game with his first punt of this second half. Nick Benjamin will center the ball again, and Bob Cameron is hoping that it comes back accurately, not like one earlier that sailed way over his head. This one is high, but he brings it down and gets away his best punt of the ball game. And Greg Battle was downfield quickly, and with help from Nick Benjamin, they bring down the Gizmo. No return after a 46-yard kick. It will be first and 10 Edmonton from their own 5 when we return. Winnipeg linebacker Greg Battle injured his ankle in the first half. His ankle appears to be okay, but now trainer Ross Hodgkinson is concerned with his left forearm. He appears to have injured himself in making the tackle on the Gizmo down at the 5-yard line. So that means that James West and Randolph are in at those middle linebacking positions. Tracy Ham looking over the middle. It's incomplete. He's been going to Craig Ellis on almost every pattern for the last 6 passing attempts, and that time Craig Ellis was unable to hang on.
Yeah, let's take. We may get a good look at this. He's got man-to-man from Darrell Sampson. Watch, the ball is thrown. You see that head turn before the hands grab the football. You know, the best receivers still make the rookie mistakes, and that the big thing you have to do, catch it before you run.
2nd and 10 from the 5-yard line. Ham will try and run for a first down, and he is going to be stopped at the 15. It will be close, depending on where they spot it. James West cut the feet out from under the quarterback, and Joe Farragelli is waiting to see just where that ball is being spotted before he makes a decision.
Well, James West gets to play now. You know, he's been filling in and alternating, but we know this. He can play. And, you know, it's really something when you think of how valuable James West was before the season started. When he got injured, he has not been able to get his starting job back. So that tells you how well that set of linebackers play together.
There were many people who anticipated that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers may have problems with James West out of the lineup. In fact, they continued to play pretty well.
They played super. Well, you know this very quickly. Any coach is going to put his best players on the field. And if those linebackers are playing that well, he can't get in there. You know they're doing a job.
Farragelli isn't talking about the fish he caught. He wants to know how far they have to go.
Not very much. Maybe a half a yard. They should be able to get this. This could be a key play, though.
Short yardage offense is in there. Tracy Ham will keep. A couple of Winnipeg defenders were diving over the top, but they couldn't prevent Ham from getting out beyond the 15-yard line with what should be a first down.
On the Winnipeg bench, here's the short list of Greg Battle's ailments. Late in the first half, he suffered a case of turf toe. He changed his shoes to a bigger pair at halftime, so that's not bothering him as much right now. And he's bruised his left wrist, but neither injury is serious enough to keep him out. He's just gone back in.
Yes, and James West comes to the sidelines with Battle moving into that middle linebacking position for Winnipeg. 11:09, the time remaining in the third quarter. Ham almost had problems with that exchange from center. Ham is going to run the ball again out to the 25-yard line, about 2 yards short of a first down. Ron, with the heat in this building, do you think that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defensively, with all the running around they're being forced to do and chasing Tracy Ham, are going to encounter some problems in the fourth quarter?
You know, that could be a factor. They have done a lot of running, and it looks like that's going to be the name of the game for the rest of the 2.5 quarters, I guess, that we have left, or 1.5. They're going to have to chase him, and those linebackers will get tired. Might be a good time to put Steve Taylor in and let him run around and really tire him out.
Ham has carried 8 times for 60 yards. On second down, he decides this time to give the ball to Blake Marshall, and he powers his way to the 30. Marshall followed the block of Pierre Vercheval. Winnipeg had sent in a short yardage defense. Leon Hatziano now comes out, and Les Brown goes into the ball game for Winnipeg. Willis and Craig Ellis line up to the left. Ham looks over the middle, and it's intercepted. Battle with his second of the game. He may score. He will easily. A 31-yard interception return for Greg Battle.
You know what normally is a very, very safe play. A back checks out of the backfield and turns and faces the quarterback, and you throw it at him. Turns into disaster for the Eskimos. What's to the right of your screen? Greg Battle. The ball's going to be thrown right at Michael Souls, but all of a sudden Battle takes it right out of his hands, and now it's an easy run for the end zone.
He looked like a running back as he broke away from the tackle attempt of Blake Dermott and sprinted to the end zone. So with his second interception, Greg Battle puts the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in front by a 16-4 margin, and Trevor Kennard will add the 17th point. 9:44 is the time remaining in the third quarter. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers leading 17-4. Battle's interception return is certainly worth diagramming in our CBC playbook.
Well, if you look at Greg Battle at the bottom of the screen, number 34, he's going to be looking at Michael Souls, number 32, coming out of the backfield. All right, Michael Souls will come straight down the field and run a hook pattern. Greg Battle just drops into his zone, and he watches Tracy Ham. When Tracy Ham turns his head, all he does is react. Right here, as the ball's thrown, he reacts to the football, just takes it out of his hands, and from then on, it's game over. He just jogs in for a touchdown.
Well, earlier this week, Greg Battle was acclaimed as the best defensive player in the Canadian Football League. He has designs on earning similar honors in this Grey Cup game.
Well, I'll tell you, he's been everywhere. I mean, we've seen him at free safety. We see him making tackles behind the line of scrimmage, and now he intercepts a pass for a touchdown as a linebacker. I don't know what else he can do.
Smith pitches the ball to the Gizmo for this kickoff return, and he's upended at the 39-yard line. Albert Williams was the first to make contact with Henry Williams, a 25-yard run back after a 61-yard kickoff. At the conclusion of the game, the outstanding player, the best defensive player, and the best Canadian player will be presented with carvings along with an RCA camcorder to the Molson MVP award winners.
The only thing on that screen right now, those 2 interceptions, have hurt Tracy Ham and the Eskimos.
Ham is caught by Quincy Williams. He tried to move away from him, but Williams didn't go for the fake and made the tackle at the 45.
Well, you see, he has to run out of that pocket again. Tyrone Jones coming on a blitz. You see Blake Marshall takes him on. Number 22, he hangs on, and then Michael Souls is there to double team him and turf him, put him on the ground. But still, the pressure and the coverage downfield forces Tracy Ham to run.
2nd and 5, and movement at the line of scrimmage. Tracy Ham had started back, but he didn't have the football, and that brought the Winnipeg defensive unit procedure against Edmonton.
Yeah, when he put the hands under the center and he came out from behind there without the football, automatically illegal procedure because, you know, you can't play tricks on the defensive line. I think Tracy just messed up.
Edmonton number 8, still 2nd down.
We said earlier that Tracy had learned to manipulate the count. You think they may be having problems in that area?
Oh, yeah, you know, sometimes quarterbacks forget counts. I mean, I know it sounds hard to believe. He calls it, but sometimes they forget it.
Out of the hands of Craig Ellis. Again, he had found that open spot in behind Darrell Sampson. And the Eskimos will be forced to punt with 8:32 remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Darrell Sampson does a good job, though. I mean, sure, he finds the open area, but watch Darrell Sampson close on the football. I don't think he touches it as he goes in front. I think he did tip it just a little bit, and that's why Craig Ellis wasn't able to catch it. Well, I'll tell you, that's good defense when you can come from behind, cut it in front, and still get your hand on the ball.
Ray McAreedy stands at the 25-yard line. Another good kick that Eric Streeter will take at his own 28. He lost control of the football but managed to get it back at the 35. Blake Marshall, who is the Edmonton Eskimo special teams captain, was downfield to make the initial contact on Streeter.
I was just watching Marshall walk off the field. He's a little bit tired also. I mean, that blocking will take it out of you, and then when you have to sprint down to cover those punts, that's hard work.
Matt Pierce is the injured Winnipeg player. So far, his duties have been restricted to special teams play. He's a University of British Columbia graduate with a lot of hometown support here at BC Place Stadium.
Yeah, you would hope so. There's probably a lot of family here also, but you see Marshall dive out. Just manages to tick the ball a little bit. He almost got to the wall. They had the wall set pretty well, and you can see Pierce standing up there. I think what happened when Streeter went down, he rolled into the back of the legs of Pierce.
We talked about Blake Marshall and his work on special teams. And the injury to Matt Pierce now we will see, and I think you're right, he gets people rolling into him more than anything else.
Yeah, he was just standing there trying to stay out of the way, and Leon Hasidano, I can't pronounce it, Leon, number 44, rolls right into the leg of his teammate Matt Pierce because you could see him blocking.
Glenn Amy, the equipment man for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, out there with therapist Ross Hodgkinson helping Matt Pierce off the field. 22 years in that capacity. He said next year will be his last. He's going to retire.
Well, he must like it to be there that long, and you know, it's something when he makes the plan to retire. He still may not retire. Now he says he will after another year, but we'll see.
Well, there were a number of Saskatchewan fans who thought they would be making the trip to Vancouver to cheer on their beloved Rough Riders in a second straight Grey Cup appearance, but the Edmonton Eskimos took care of that in the Western semifinal. 1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. Burgess to Hall at the 50 for a Winnipeg first down.
That's an excellent route. Lee Hull just drives Keith Gooch downfield, takes him deep, then he just curls, comes back to the quarterback. And as we said, Burgess is very accurate. He hits him right on the numbers. Steps up, makes the throw. You see, Gooch has pretty good position on him, but when you're that accurate, it's very difficult to stop.
7:24 remaining in the third quarter. 17-4, Winnipeg leading Edmonton. Burgess is going deep for Perry Tuttle to the 5.
Just outstanding play by Perry Tuttle. Perry Tuttle runs straight down the field faster than anybody Winnipeg has. All he does is get a zone split right up the seam. And who's coming? Enos Jackson takes a bad angle to come to him. It goes over his head, and Perry Tuttle just kept running, and it's thrown far enough.
55 yards to the 5-yard line. Burgess to Perry Tuttle. It's 1st and goal, Winnipeg from the 5, leading by a score of 17-4. Into the end zone, intended for Streeter, and Streeter got tangled up with Andre Francis as he tried to run his pattern.
Streeter wants an interference call. I don't really think so. Andre Francis, he gave him the bump to the outside, and then I think from there, we're going to get a good look at him from the end zone. We'll see just what the fans down in the corner were really upset anyway. Let's see. All right, he comes off, going outside. We're just going to lay it up and let him run. Give him the shove, get away from him. I don't really see anything wrong with that. You can hit him. That's a good call by the official. You got to slow him down somehow.
2nd and goal from the 5. Burgess into the end zone. Touchdown, Perry Tuttle. Well, if this is going to mark the end to Perry Tuttle's CFL career, he's going to go out in a blaze of glory.
Well, this is the guy they wanted the big plays from today. As we said earlier, 20-yard average per catch. But when you don't need 20, he can catch the short ones also. Just right out in the flat. Burgess throws it very, very well on the run. Just comes out, lets it go. Now watch Tuttle. Catches it. Get the foot down, inbounds. That's all he wants to do. Hang on to it before he goes out of there.
And Trevor Kennard adds the point after, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have now produced 2 third-quarter touchdowns, and they have taken control of this 78th Grey Cup championship. They now lead it by 20 points.
Just a sprint out. We said they weren't going to have Burgess in the same place every time. This time he half sprint, throws it on the run. We've seen him drop back. We've seen him play action. We've seen him run. We've seen him play a pretty good football game.
Well, Tom Burgess was extremely disappointed last year after leading the Rough Riders to their Western final triumph over Edmonton. He did not get to play in the Grey Cup game. That's one of the reasons he requested that the Rough Riders trade him. He arrived just before the start of the season in Winnipeg, and while he had some early season problems, he has developed towards the last part of the season. There's no question now that he is Winnipeg's #1 quarterback.
He's a much better complete quarterback, I guess is what I'd want to say. He's a much better quarterback now than he was at any stage of his career.
Well, Mike Riley said before the game, Burgess has learned how to win with our team. Henry the Gizmo Williams, he can excite you every time he touches that football, and he brings it back to the 37-yard line.
You know, we keep talking about the pressure that Winnipeg is putting on Tracy Ham and keeping him scrambling. But Mike Riley's got to be very pleased with the coverage downfield. because many times Ham has had time to throw it when he's got outside, but there's been nobody open.
Well, Joe Farragelli has to be concerned now. His team was the second most productive offensively. So far, they have been limited to just 4 points in this Grey Cup championship. Craig Ellis is open for a first down, loses the ball. Winnipeg claim they've got it, and the official concurs. Ken Haley comes up with the football. David Bovell knocked it away from Craig Ellis. I thought maybe the whistle had gone, but obviously it had not.
Boy, Craig Ellis runs a great pattern. Watch him. Down, start to the outside. All right, he starts, he sees West, he slides right back inside, allows West to go by. He makes the catch, and he's going to the ground. Bovell comes in with that right hand underneath and bats that ball away.
And Craig Ellis was injured on the play, and with Marco Sincar already out of the ball game, and if Craig Ellis can't continue, that is really a blow to Joe Farragelli's passing attack. .538 is the time remaining in the third quarter, and Ellis is having a great deal of difficulty as he heads off to that Edmonton bench.
Okay, here's where we see Craig Ellis right here. Craig Ellis just goes down, and he's going to break to the outside. But when James West slides by it, Ellis reverses and comes back inside him to catch the football. That's good pass route. Watch him. Comes down. Now, break in. Now slide away from him. If West is in your vision, if you turn to look at the quarterback and you see a blue jersey, slide. He did, but the only thing he forgot to do is keep the football.
A good view provided by our overhead camera here at BC Place Stadium. And Craig Ellis appears to be in a great deal of pain. What a year he had. 106 receptions to lead the CFL. He was in a battle all year with Darrell Smith for the touchdown reception lead. And with that hit from Bovell, you see that leg bent right underneath Craig Ellis. Winnipeg 1st and 10 from the 53-yard line. Burgess is going for it all, looking for Mims, out of bounds. Andre Francis made the interception, but it doesn't cause any difficulty for Winnipeg as he was out of bounds.
Well, they like that wheel pattern where they take the wide receiver, in this case Streeter, and just run him down the field. And then they bring the second receiver, whoever it happens to bring him to the sideline, and then turn him upfield and try to drop it to him over their head. But he very wisely threw that one out of bounds.
5:09, the time remaining in the third quarter. Colgate product Tom Burgess at the controls of the Winnipeg attack. Throws deep again for Lee Hull. It's short of the intended receiver, and Winnipeg will be forced to send out the punting unit.
Yeah, he didn't have time. They came after him with everybody that time, and number 61, Mike Walker, got there and forced the throw to be short. Lee Hull's got no inside help. Good move. See him turn Gooch around? Boy, you love that as a quarterback. But what happens there is he just didn't have a chance to throw it far enough because of the pressure up front.
Craig Ellis began his CFL career in Winnipeg back in 1982. He's been a much-traveled CFL performer, but he has always played well wherever he has suited up. The Gizmo, unable to get away from Benjamin, fumbles the football. Winnipeg's got it back. This time it's Tyrone Jones coming up with the football. 4:30, the time remaining in the third quarter. Winnipeg in scoring position again. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers take pride in their special teams coverage. Tyrone Jones scooped up that loose football after Nick Benjamin had made the initial contact on punt return specialist Henry Williams.
Well, all you look for is this man, James West. He's going to be the guy. He's going to knock it loose. Benjamin's going to come in, going to take the hit on him. But what's number 58? What's the left hand? Coming right here. Benny Goods collides. There it goes. That left hand goes in. West pulls it out. Tyrone Jones is laying on the ground with nothing to do, and the ball fell in his hands. He'll take it.
1st and 10 Winnipeg. The ball is at the 17. Burgess throws the screen to Warren Hudson. He'll score.
Don, we talked at halftime we would see some more screens from Winnipeg because of the pressure. Burgess picked an ideal time to call it. You know when you get close to the goal line, they're going to come after you. He just sprinted out and dumped it right into Hudson.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers have really taken control of this football game in the third quarter.
Well, he sprints out to dump to Hudson. Watch the block right here, number 59 on Mike McLean. Hudson just turns upfield and heads to the goal line. That is an outstanding job by that Winnipeg offense, especially Lau Bauer on McLean.
The Winnipeg offense has been much maligned during the course of the year. The first team to finish last in offense, but have the best record in the league at 12-6. But in this Grey Cup game, one would almost think they were the most productive offensive team in the CFL.
Well, you know, yesterday we were standing down on the field and we were talking with Cal Murphy. I remember him saying, he said, people are going to be surprised at the number of points that we're going to put on the board. Now, I kind of take that with a grain of salt because every team thinks they're going to put points on the board. But they have shown they can move the football against a very good Eskimo club.
Another injury for the Eskimos. Enos Jackson is being helped off the field. 5 turnovers so far in the ball game, and the Blue Bombers have taken advantage.
Okay, there's the screen, Don, but watch 59 to the left of your screen. Excellent job. Coming up again, Steve Rowe, the Huskers, 57, and Hudson just gets in behind those two big guys, and he's in standing up. A great job.
When Warren Hudson was acquired by Winnipeg from Toronto, he was a little undecided early in the year if he was going to report. I'm sure right now he's absolutely delighted that he made the right decision.
He's being used so much differently now. I mean, he's actually getting the football. He was just another lineman, you know, last year. Now he's catching the football, running with it, but he's still blocking. So he's got to be very pleased with the decision he made.
The Blue Bombers lead by 27. Let's bring in Steve Armitage.
Don, what little offense the Eskimos have been able to generate has been Tracy Ham to Craig Ellis. Well, Ellis came off with an ankle injury. It's a sprained ankle. He asked the trainer to tape him up. He wants to get back into this game, so expect to see Craig Ellis back into the game with a slightly injured ankle.
The Edmonton Eskimos coming into this game, Steve, were hoping to be the first team in Canada to ever score a double-double. In 1987, they won both the Grey Cup and the Stanley Cup. The Edmonton Oilers winning hockey's most cherished trophy. In 1947, Toronto Maple Leafs did it. So did the Argos that year. In 1977, the Montreal Canadiens and the Montreal Alouettes combined for the double. So the Eskimos were hoping to score a double-double this year, with the Oilers winning the Stanley Cup this past spring.
You know what's surprising about the game, too, Don, is that they have taken advantage of every turnover the Eskimos have showed them. I mean, they were in the football game, I think, at halftime. Nothing to it. 6 points, 10-4. They come out and they turn it over. Burgess don't waste any time. He gets a chance right to the jugular. They put it in the end zone. That's a sign of a good football team that takes advantage of opportunities.
31-4 is the score. Certainly in contrast to the Grey Cup games we have witnessed over the past 3 years, where they've gone down to the final play before we had a decision. Although this one is not over yet. Still 4:15 remaining in the third quarter, but there's no question the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have a hand on the Grey Cup.
Yeah, one half of it's theirs for sure. They got a good lock on it.
James West on the special teams, down there to make the tackle on the gizmo on the sidelines. Let's bring in Scott.
Don, here at the Winnipeg bench, Perry Tuttle's touchdown catch was not without its price. He has sprained, he thinks, his left knee. He's going to try and finish the game, but realizes that if he can't, he may already have done his job for the Bombers on this day.
Tough game for the slot backs on both sides, with Sincar and Ellis injured. On the Edmonton side of the field, Perry Tuttle having some problems on the Winnipeg bench. 1st and 10 from the 38-yard line. Tracy Ham to the sidelines to right. Knocked down by Les Brown with a gain of about 10.
Just a sprint out by Tracy Ham, and number 71 Keith Wright just goes down and turns to the outside. Watch him. Les Brown just sits, drive him off. See, that's a zone defense. Les Brown's just sitting back. He's going to let him catch the football. The biggest mistake you can make on that is to come up and gamble with a big lead. Don't allow him to have a big play. Brown let him have the catch.
Edmonton going with a no-huddle offense, and on the sidelines, Larry Willis makes the catch in front of Rod Hill.
We're going to see a little bit more zone defense now out of the Bombers, I believe. Make them earn them. Don't give them the big plays. 31-4 should be enough points to win the football game.
Larry Willis, last year with Calgary, came over to the BC Lions this year with the coaching change. He was traded to the Edmonton Eskimos. And on second down, Blake Marshall powers his way for a first down, tackled by Quincy Williams.
See, with 3 minutes left in this third quarter, Winnipeg can be very content. They don't have to make any more big plays. They've got to stop Edmonton from making big plays. They've done it all day.
First and 10.
Watch out.
Incomplete on the sidelines. It was intended for Wright. Les Brown was over defending. And Les Brown is an interesting story. An All-Canadian a couple of years ago with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Cut by the Ticats. He went to Edmonton, couldn't get a job there. Moved on to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and has developed into an Eastern All-Star.
Well, he was considered one of the better ones in the league every one of those years. And ran into some problems in Hamilton. Edmonton, he had some tough competition there. But here, he's found a home again, and he can play.
Well, we talked about Craig Ellis. We heard Steve say that he was going to try and get back into the ball game, and indeed he has for a first down. There's also a penalty flag on the play. A holding call against the Eskimos will negate the toss from Ham to Craig Ellis. It's interesting, 21 third-quarter points, a Grey Cup record for the least productive offensive unit in the CFL.
I don't think anybody would have expected
Holding.
that, but
Edmonton number 57. Second down repeated.
The only one I think would expect it to be Tom Burgess. I mean, he knows he can put points on the board. He didn't waste much time in this third quarter.
The ball comes back to the 50-yard line. Wide open down the middle, but unable to hang on is Jordan Gartner, who has come into the ball game as an injury replacement. Correct that, Todd Smith.
That was a pretty good job by Ham. Ham looked to his right, and that froze Dave Lavelle, allowed Todd Smith to get up that seam ahead of Ken Haley, and then, as you saw, just went off of that left hand. Got to go out and get that, though. I mean, you needed big plays, and these are the games to make them in. Last week he had 7 receptions, the most he's ever had in a game, and this one he just couldn't pull it in.
On third down, McElready from his own 35-yard line. Rod Hill is trying to get through on the block. Here's the return by Ken Winey. And Jordan Gartner is there to make the tackle at the 48-yard line. That might be one of the best returns of the entire season for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on their punt return unit.
41 yards. I haven't seen him do that all year, so that probably is the best. But it just seems like today, Don, everything's going the Bomber way. Watch the wall set up. Winey starts to his right. Street is going to help him. There's one block, but look at the room that he's got to move. Coming in there. I mean, they're doing everything right. Gartner makes the tackle, and Winey goes down. But it's the Bombers' day. They're executing the way a coach would like to see it.
1:42, the time remaining in the third quarter. Burgess dumps it off to Rick House. And he's to the Edmonton 27. Tackled by Brett Williams.
Sorry, Don. This is where, again, you see the quick eyes and the quick release of Tom Burgess. He starts to scramble to his left, and then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, he sees Rick House, and the ball is gone. Watch him. He's looking around, doesn't like anything. Now he starts to run, but all of a sudden, bang. Just stop, throw it off the left foot right to number 31, House, and House runs it down inside the 30-yard line.
Brett Williams made the tackle, and he is the injured player. He was telling me yesterday that after the season ends, he will have surgery on a shoulder that has been causing him problems throughout the course of the year. In the offseason, he is a professional wrestler, but because of that shoulder surgery, he suggested that his off-season activities may be curtailed.
Yeah, if you have surgery, it'll slow you down a little bit, especially in that sport for him, because he's so big, it'll take a long time for that injury to heal. And I think it looks like the injury's in the upper leg muscle of the right leg.
Someone suggested that this was almost an incestuous relationship, this battle between Edmonton and Winnipeg, and that so many players have played with the other team or been associated with the other team. Joe Faragelli, for example, an assistant coach in Winnipeg in 1987, an assistant to Bud Riley, Mike Riley's father in Winnipeg in 74, 75, 76. Bruce Lemmerman, the assistant to Murphy and Riley, and now the director of operations for the Eskimos. Cal Murphy, the Bomber general manager, was an assistant in Edmonton. Mike Riley was an assistant to Hugh Campbell when he coached at Whitworth College. Hugh Campbell, now the Eskimo general manager. And of course, Mike Riley, who lived in Winnipeg, went to school there, is an assistant coach. Mike Faragelli, I should say, the son of Joe Faragelli, the head coach. And it goes on. Rick House used to play in Edmonton. Hudson, the ball carrier, down to the 25-yard line with 55 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
Take Brett Williams out, and right away they try to run inside. Rob Davidson steps in. Rob's at the University of Toronto, backup defensive lineman. I remember Coach Faragelli telling us earlier in the year, really pleased with him. Looks for him to be a player in years to come.
2nd and 8, Winnipeg. Burgess looking into the end zone for Lee Hall. It draws a penalty flag. He was spun around by Keith Gooch.
Forward pass interference. Edmonton number 18. First down.
Well, we get a good look at this. Remember, before he spun him around before. He gives him the move. He's got him again right here. He's got him, and Gooch knows it. Gooch just reaches out and grabs hold of that sweater and spins him around, and the referee's standing right here off to the left of the screen. He just throws the flag, but Hull has turned Gooch twice now, and you can turn a defensive back. You'll get a lot of action.
It will be 1st and goal Winnipeg from the 3-yard line. The report on Williams is that he has a bruised thigh. 14 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Robert Mims has stopped short of the goal line with 7 seconds remaining. Keith Gooch came up to make the hit. Benny Goods into the ball game defensively. He played 2 games earlier in the season for the Edmonton Eskimos. This should be the final play of the third quarter. 2nd and goal. Warren Hudson, touchdown. His 2nd touchdown of the ball game, his 2nd of this quarter. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have really obliterated the CFL Grey Cup record for third quarter scoring. They now have 27 third quarter points, and Trevor Kennard will try and make it 28 points in this third quarter.
That's an awful lot of points, but you'll see number 51, David Black, pulls out and leads up through the hole. All Warren Hudson does is follow him into the end zone. Great job.
The previous record for points in the third quarter, 20 by Montreal in 1977. And that's the end of quarter 3. It was only a 6-point ball game 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, how times change when you take advantage of opportunities, and the Bombers have taken every break that they've gotten and converted it, and that's a sign of a good football team. 38 points. I don't think anyone would have expected that many.
The Gizmo trying to get loose. He can't as he's dragged down out of bounds. Michael Allen was the man who hauled him down. 13 yards on the run back. Statistically, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers only have 47 more net yards than the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but those 5 turnovers, Winnipeg has capitalized in that area.
Turnovers will beat you. 5-1, and every one they've turned over, they've converted to points. And You know, we talk about it all the time. I've heard you mention numerous occasions. The second column from the bottom usually tells the story.
Ham looking upfield. Incomplete. It was intended for Smith. 2nd and 10 for the Eskimos. Trailing 38-4. And I wonder if there's anyone who's looking in this afternoon thought it would be this way.
No, I don't think so. I figured a lot of people thought if it was 38 points, the Eskimos would have it. We have a roughing the passer throw. I think it's on number 44, Leon, whatever his name, Hatziano.
First and 10 from the 50-yard line. Ham can't find the receiver, gets some blocks, and will be very close to another Edmonton first down.
Well, you can't say enough. You know, we keep talking about the pressure on Tracy Ham. He's alluded to pressure numerous times, but the secondary coverage downfield, when Tracy Ham looks up, he still has no receivers to throw the football to.
Randolph was in initially. Ham got outside him and then picked up some blocks inside, one of them by Rod Conop, and he is just short of a first down at the 50-yard line. James West, who missed 7 games this season because of that broken arm, appears to be the player who was injured on that tackle. On the sidelines, let's bring in Scott Oak.
Well, Don, this lull in the proceedings affords us the opportunity to explain the empty seats here at BC Place. At the start of our Grey Cup coverage today, we said a full house was expected at BC Place. CFL comptroller told me a few moments ago that as of yesterday, 5,500 tickets were unsold. So this game would have required a 5,000 walk-up crowd at least for a sellout. Obviously did not get it. And in addition to those 5,000 tickets that were left, obviously many people who had tickets have not shown up. There are a lot of empty seats here at BC Place, and what the fans are missing is an awesome display by the Bombers. The Eskimos might be just as happy that the fans aren't here, though.
Craig Ellis on the receiving end of the throw at the 35-yard line. The record for attendance at a Grey Cup was established in 1977 when 68,000 showed up at Olympic Stadium in Montreal as the Alouettes beat the Edmonton Eskimos 41-6. And that, by the way, was the first of Cal Murphy's 8 Grey Cup triumphs. He's going to get a 9th today, almost certainly. Tracy Ham had the ball stripped from him, but managed to recover. It was Albert Williams who pulled the ball away from Tracy Ham, but the Edmonton quarterback got it back.
It's just been relentless pressure all day on Tracy Ham. Regardless of where he goes, he's scrambling for his life. You see Michael Gray block, but he has to scramble up inside, and you see the big right arm of Williams batted away, and Ham's very lucky to get it back.
2nd and short. Blake Marshall gets the first down to the 20-yard line. Mike Gray was there to make the tackle. Joe Faragalli in 1987 joined the Eskimos after the start of the season and led them to a Grey Cup championship. Don't think he's going to get his second as a head coach this afternoon unless a miracle occurs with 12:40 remaining in the ballgame.
No, I don't like his chances today. When they showed us a shot of the Edmonton bench a minute ago, you could almost see it in their eyes.
Larry Willis in the end zone. Touchdown.
Almost looked like Les Brown made an interception, and all of a sudden it lands, the ball comes down, and Larry Willis is on. That's good concentration, and this is what Larry Willis has to provide this football team. They've got to get more production out of their wide receivers. The only guy that's really been open those days is Craig Ellis. Willis has to start delivering. A little too late this season, but we'll get a good look. He start to the post on a fake, back outside. Now the ball's in the air. Let's see what happens to Les Brown, because I thought he had it. He did. He slowed it down just enough to when it dropped out of his hands, Willis just pulled it in for 6.
Les Brown, who led the league in interceptions this year with 14, had both hands of that football, but it slipped away into the hands of Larry Willis, and the point after gives the Edmonton Eskimos 10 points. We'll return with the Edmonton kickoff after this. Larry Willis with the 20-yard touchdown toss from Tracy Ham makes it 38-11 with 12:26 remaining in the game.
Well, you saw Les Brown had it. Looks like he was going to pull it in and just kind of slipped out of there. And Willis, good concentration. He makes the touchdown, but they need to start turnovers and score fast. I don't know if you get that many points back in 12 minutes.
Ken Haley from the 20-yard line on this kickoff return. David Shelton made the tackle at the 54, a 35-yard run back by Ken Haley.
Yeah, that's good field position. If you're the Eskimos, you need a 2 and out in a hurry. That meant great coverage downfield, starting at the 55. Even if they have to kick the ball, you're going to have 100 yards to go.
We talked earlier about Cal Murphy, the Winnipeg general manager, winning his first Grey Cup as an assistant coach with Montreal in 1977. He won 5 more with the Eskimos from 78 to 82. One as head coach with Winnipeg in 84. Another as the Winnipeg general manager in 88. He's trying for a 9th this afternoon. He's never been to a Grey Cup game that he has lost.
We should have thought of that yesterday.
Robert Mims was tackled by Benny Goods after a pickup of just about a yard, and now time is very much the enemy of the Edmonton Eskimos as the clock continues to run. 11:40 remaining in the game.
Yeah, that's the enemy. It's not the Bombers anymore. Forget it. They just got to hope they stop and get the ball back a number of times so they can get points. But the time ticks away and doesn't wait on you.
Benny Goods gets a quarterback sack. He was the designated import coming in, and he got through on Tom Burgess at the 50-yard line. I think that's the first time this afternoon, apart from a play earlier in the first half that I recall now, where Burgess has had problems.
Well, you see Danny Bass just coming around the outside, but the sack was made by number 40, Benny Goods, coming from the left side. As you say, the designated import. Played a couple games this year as a defensive end. Now he's in there as the backup linebacker. When the injury came last week to Jeff Braswell, that enabled him to be on the roster for the Grey Cup.
Excellent kick by Cameron. Gizmo goes back to the 10-yard line. Winnipeg had him well surrounded, and the big hit by Nick Benjamin. He's the center. He got downfield to deliver the blow that brought Williams down. We talked earlier about Cal Murphy and his 8 Grey Cup rings. Brett Williams doesn't have one, and he's been around the CFL for a few years. Cal Murphy, the Winnipeg general manager, sitting in the press box observing this game. Hugh Campbell, the Eskimo general manager, on the other side of that partition. As you look at the two GMs, it'd be a little difficult from that picture to tell which one was leading and which one was trailing by 27.
Yeah, that was Hugh's wife, Louise, sitting with him. Good friends of mine, playing days. He's not going to be real happy about this one, but hey, the better team's wearing blue today.
The ball comes loose under the pressure of Tyrone Jones, and the Eskimos get it back. It was McConnell who pounced on the football after Tyrone Jones took it away from Tracy Ham. We'll get a better look at it on the reverse angle camera.
Well, he's getting the pressure again. Look, Tyrone Jones drives inside. West comes around. He's trying to go deep, and now as he steps away, Tyrone Jones gets one hand out there, and as he reaches around him, he knocks the ball with the right hand, and it falls to the ground. And on the 1-yard line, the Eskimos are going to have to come up with something. He was looking deep that time for Keith Wright, but he had double coverage.
Ham being chased in the end zone and down by James West for a safety touch.
Well, James West just lined him up, and it was like just dove right out, laid out in midair, and just dropped him.
He looked like a panther stalking its prey. He waited back at about the 3-yard line, and as soon as Ham got outside of the contain, he accelerated and belted him.
That's what it comes down to. Who's going to make the first move? Watch him. He's waiting. He's waiting. Let Ham make the move. Ham made the move to try to go outside. He just laid out and dropped him. That's what you have to do, because a quarterback wants you to make the first move so he can step around you. West outweighted him.
It's been a rough afternoon for Tracy Ham. He's been the victim of that relentless pressure applied by the best defensive team in the CFL this year.
You know, I still like Tracy Ham. Shown me an awful lot today. He's got knocked around a lot. The Eskimos have chased, or the Bombers have chased that Eskimo quarterback all over this stadium, and he just keeps coming back. And I think that, you know, no one likes to lose, but he's got to learn something from it, and he's going to learn a big lesson today.
Hey, Houston, let me see what Allison Williams in Detroit. All my friends in Detroit.
So with the 2 points, the Bombers now increase their advantage to 40-11, and the Edmonton Eskimos are forced to kick off with 9:54 remaining. This will be Mike Riley's second Grey Cup triumph as head coach with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And Ken Winey will return the kickoff, but this time he won't get beyond the 33-yard line. Jordan Gertner and Mark Mathis were there to make the tackle. An 11-yard run back after a 53-yard kick. We were talking with Mike earlier today. His father, Bud, the former head coach with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, came over from the Okanagan Valley along with his mother to watch this game, and Bud's brother Pete came up from Alabama to take in the Grey Cup game.
Well, with Pete, I mean, I knew Bud Mary'd be here, but with Pete, you never know where he's going to show up. He's just one of those kind of free-spirited guys. He got all the way to Vancouver.
Robert Mims takes the toss out to the 41-yard line. Both Robert Mims and Warren Hudson were Eastern Division All-Stars this year. Benny Goods played 2 games late in the season for the Edmonton Eskimos. He did not dress in the Western Final against Calgary. Was the DI coming into this game and has come into the game as an injury replacement. Incomplete. It was intended for Rick House.
Clear it out. Send Lee Hull straight up the field. And then all you do is bring Rick House down and break him out behind him. But he got it a little bit too far out in front of him.
Ready, man. Let's go.
This Winnipeg Grey Cup victory will equal the Grey Cup wins of the Edmonton Eskimos. They have engraved their name on the Grey Cup on 10 occasions. Winnipeg had 9 Grey Cup triumphs coming into this 1990 championship. This ball bounces, picked up by Williams at the 35, and Nick Benjamin again downfield to make the tackle.
Don, how many people you think would have ever picked Winnipeg to win the Grey Cup back in June or even July?
Back in June and even in July, most of the experts weren't even picking Winnipeg to make the playoffs.
No, and I think I was one of them that looked at it that way. I didn't feel coming into training camp that they had a starting quarterback that they could rely on, and I guess that's why they went out and got Tom Burgess, and they sure knew what they were doing because he has sure made them tough. They are an excellent football team on both sides of the ball, especially today.
1st and 10 from the 36. Incomplete. Craig Ellis continuing to play despite that earlier injury. The report on Marco Sincar, who left in the first half and went to hospital with a bruised kidney, is that he is in stable condition and is undergoing further tests. Second and 10. Great battle is after Ham. He got the pass away. It goes out of bounds.
Again, you saw how much time Tracy Ham had to throw the football. He had enough time to throw it. But I look downfield, I can't find a white jersey without a blue and right beside it. And if you give a guy enough time, this is a tough hit for a quarterback to take. What? So you get underneath that shoulder, get under that right shoulder, and when you come down and you drive that body into it, that hurts. They got to get open for him. He can't. He's doing everything, but he needs some help.
8:03 is the time remaining here at BC Place Stadium. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers en route to their 10th Grey Cup championship, leading by a score of 40-11. Leon Hatziano was coming up the middle, didn't get there in time. Eric Streeter fields that 3rd down punt. and is downed at the 50-yard line. 7:40 is the time left here at BC Place Stadium.
Larry Saints.
7:40 the time remaining. Here's an interesting stat for you. In 14 possessions, Winnipeg has started 7 of them on the Edmonton side of midfield.
Makes it a short field, doesn't it? You get the ball to start on the other side of center field. You don't need very many plays to score touchdowns.
1st and 10 from the 49. Burgess with a good fake. Has an open receiver in Eric Streeter. And he's thrown down by Andre Francis, but in the process picks up a 1st down.
Well, that was a good fake, wasn't it? He fooled somebody altogether. That Eskimo came across, never had a chance. Just take your time, come back to the football. When you get that separation, then come back, make the catch. The reason he gets a little more yardage here, Andre Francis can't hold on with that right hand to throw him down. That's why he got that extra couple of yards.
1st and 10 Winnipeg. The ball is at the Edmonton 36-yard line. 7:07 is the time remaining. Good fake again. Looking for Rick House, incomplete on the sidelines. He was being covered by Mark Mathis.
See that stat a minute ago on there? The Bombers are going to want to play the Eskimos all the time. Average 36 points a game when they play the Eskimos.
But you know, during the course of the year, and that's an 18-game schedule, Winnipeg only had 3 plays of 50 yards or better.
Yeah, that, you know, you think that the law of averages and a little bit of luck over 18 games that you get more than 3.
Chris Walby, runner-up for lineman of the year in the Canadian Football League, to Jim Mills. Sideline pattern, and Rick House has another 1st down at the 25.
Come back with the same identical play. The play before, he turned upfield and went deep. This time, stop at the sideline. That's Steve Taylor, number 10. Backup quarterback, what, his 2nd year out of Nebraska. Outstanding athlete. A lot like Tracy Ham. He may be a little taller and so on, but he's a lot like him. Very quick, got a good arm.
So it would appear that he is going to replace Tracy Ham as the Eskimo quarterback in the final 6:34 of this football game. Again, Brett Williams is the injured ball player being assisted to the sidelines. He was hurt earlier, replaced by Benny Goods, and Benny Goods is back in the ball game, but playing a linebacker position now.
You see Brett Williams being blocked by Nick Benjamin, and he just stayed with him, and finally just collapsed him. And he's having trouble with that leg. You stay with it, it will collapse on you.
Rob Davidson replaces Williams at defensive tackle. Burgess looking into the end zone for Streeter. Incomplete.
Good coverage by Andre Francis. Oh, sorry, that looks like Mark Mathis. I was looking for Francis. Boy, he did a great job. Watch him get in front of number 80, Streeter, as he's going downfield. I like this guy, 5'9", 170 pounds. Watch him inside out. Okay, let's go. You want to run? I can run. He just keeps fading to the outside in front of Streeter. Streeter can't get near the football. You don't cover it any better than that. I mean, he was in a better position than the receiver. Good coverage.
6:12, the time remaining. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers looking at 2nd and 10 from the 25. Mathis on the corner, lining up against Eric Streeter. Burgess throws over the middle for another 1st down to Ken Winey.
This is where Burgess has shown the greatest improvement. We said last year that if you blitzed him, he could find the open receiver as fast as anybody. But this time, when we take a look at it, you'll see the linebackers all drop. All he does is sit there and wait. Finally, the receiver gets open in the hole. Look, the white jerseys are all around him, but he takes his time and lets the receiver get open, and then he finds him.
Andre Francis out of the ball game. That's the reason Mathis has gone to the corner. Lee Hull on the other side of the field, being bumped by Keith Gooch as he attempted to run the pattern. It will be 2nd and goal. Mark Norman has moved into the safety position. Shelton has replaced Mathis at inside half, and Mathis goes to the corner in place of Francis.
Well, you know, there's a lot of talk. You know, Mathis is a corner. That's his natural position to play outside. he goes inside because of Andre Francis. But with Francis with the bad wrist, and also sometimes some places I hear he's talking to leaving them, maybe Matthews is the heir apparent to that job.
2nd and goal from the 7-yard line. Quarterback draw, but Burgess is stopped right at the line of scrimmage.
You see who's right there? Number 30, Danny Bass. You know, you're not going to fool him too many times.
Trevor Kennard comes into the ball game to attempt a field goal. The most disappointing afternoon for Danny Bass and the entire Edmonton Eskimo organization. When they faced Winnipeg at home, they had that unbeaten streak at Commonwealth Stadium on the line late in September. They were beaten 48-25. Both teams at that point in the season had identical records of 9-3. That loss was the start of a 4-game losing streak for the Eskimos, but they got it back together just before the playoffs and then defeated Saskatchewan and Calgary. And as a result, they were favored coming into this Grey Cup game, but Trevor Kennard's field goal now makes it 43-11 Winnipeg.
I never have figured out how they were favored, though, really. I mean, the Winnipeg Football Club has gotten stronger ever since game 1 of the season. They just kept going and going and going. And by the end of the year, with the way Burgess is playing, and you go take that along with the defense, I had no idea how they could make the Eskimos the favorite.
Trevor Kennard has now moved into 3rd place on the all-time CFL Grey Cup scoring list. 42 points for Trevor Kennard, who was criticized last year by many Winnipeg football fans for his failure in the Eastern Final against the Hamilton Ticats, but he certainly bounced back in a big way this year. Tracy Ham continues at quarterback. Blake Marshall, the ball carrier.
Bombers are going to sit back now, but you know, he was criticized a lot last year, and I remember right, we were down in Hamilton at that Eastern Final when he just didn't kick a couple through there. They come off the side of his foot, whatever, and they lost the football game. But I think from that point on, Winnipeg went looking for a quarterback. They knew they had to have somebody to lead this football club.
Tracy Ham finally picks out Larry Willis. And Larry Willis picks his way down to the 40-yard line, loses the football. Dave Bavell's got it.
Just another turnover. There's been a lot of them today, and most of them have gone to the guys in the blue.
So the rookie safety of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers is going to keep that Grey Cup football as a souvenir. An interesting young man, Dave Bavell, who grabbed that ball away from Willis. Used to race BMX bicycles for a factory team down in California. His off-season pursuits, he writes political satire. Has a friend who works with Saturday Night Live, has sent some of his scripts to that program. Danny McManus has now replaced Tom Burgess as quarterback of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And he gives the ball to Robert Mims, taking the clock down to 3:26 remaining in the game.
You know, I think back to early in the season, we did some Winnipeg games, and the big quarterback controversy at the time is whether Burgess or McManus should be #1, and Mike Riley just kept saying Burgess is our quarterback, and he was being second-guessed all over town. But I think people finally are starting to understand you cannot walk into any professional football league and expect to be the starter. You don't know enough, and Burgess has shown you why. When you put the ball and the job on the line, he has got it done this year.
McManus finds Rick House for a first down at the 53-yard line with 2:50 remaining in the game as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are on their way to their 10th Grey Cup triumph. That trophy first presented to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on December 7th, 1935. They beat the Hamilton Tigers 18-12 to become the first Western team to win the Grey Cup. Other victories in 1939, 1941, 58, 59, 61, and 62, 1984, 1988, and again in 1990. First and 10, Winnipeg. The ball is at the 53-yard line. Robert Mims, the ball carrier, picks up just a couple of yards. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers will be returning home tomorrow afternoon. They arrive at Winnipeg International Airport at 7:30. Premier Gary Filman is in attendance at this Grey Cup game, and I'm sure will be a part of the festivities that will take place at 8 o'clock tomorrow night at the Winnipeg Arena, the official welcome home. And then a Grey Cup parade is planned for 10:30 Tuesday morning in Winnipeg. On second down, Rick House is going to pick up the touchdown.
Boy, when you hit the defense right, and they have done it all day, 56 yards. Danny McManus just throws it up the middle to House. He catches it in full flight. Once he caught it, it was over.
Rick House, the leading receiver during regular season play with Winnipeg, 56 yards for the touchdown.
Watch a reverse angle. Gets the good pressure. Larry Ruck is coming. But Shelton cannot run with Rick House. And when House turns it up the field, it was over. McManus made the right read. You saw the safety man try to run with Rick House, and House ducked underneath him right up the middle of the field, and then was gone.
Trevor Kennard with the point after. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers just keep adding to their impressive point totals, and Cal Murphy finally smiles as his streak is intact. He has yet to participate in a Grey Cup game and lose. This will be his 9th championship.
Look at that. Shelton allows House. House came straight at him and then just ducked right under it into the middle, and he was gone. Nothing to it.
The last time a team scored 50 points in a Grey Cup game was 1956. Edmonton beat Montreal 50-27. Kickoff return with Brian Walling. And Walling is tackled by Ken Haley at the 36-yard line. We saw the premier of the province of Manitoba, Gary Philman, a moment ago. In 1956, the quarterback for the Edmonton Eskimos was a gentleman by the name of Don Getty, now the premier of the province of Alberta.
Well, he won't be real happy with today's outcome, but the Eskimos are a class organization and a good football team. But today, the Bombers have earned it. They have shut the Eskimo offense down. That's what surprised me, that they shut it down so completely.
No good. Keith Wright made the catch on the sidelines, and he draws a penalty flag. The official there reacting, feeling that that ball was thrown at him by Keith Wright after he ruled that he had not made the catch. .155 is the time remaining.
Taxable conduct. Edmonton number 71. Second down.
The ball goes back to the 28-yard line. 50 points posted today by Winnipeg's offense. 50-11 the score. Most people anticipated this would be a low-scoring game. Well, the Edmonton Eskimos have only scored 11, but I don't think anyone anticipated that Winnipeg would put 50 on the board, not in their wildest dreams. Todd Smith escapes James West, and West gets back up and gets involved in the play again.
They're still after him. Guys in blue are still after him. I mean, West went after 81. Todd Smith showed great balance as West was flipped right over the top. But the thing is, he had to come back. West got up and got right back in on the play.
Only once in Grey Cup history has a team scored in excess of 50 points. And that was Queen's University way back in 1923 when they shut out Regina 54-0. Craig Ellis still in the ball game. Well, a moment ago, Coach Mike Riley got the water bucket dumped in his head. He was intently watching the game and did not see the sneak maneuver by Chris Walby.
Offside. Winnipeg number 35. Decline. First down.
Chris Walby could just walk up and tell you, I'm going to do it. I mean, he doesn't have, how's he going to sneak up on anybody at his size?
1:30 remaining in the game. This one is out of bounds. Intended for Craig Ellis. This game especially satisfying for two players, Chris Walby and Perry Tuttle. They did not play in 1988 in Winnipeg's last triumph. Walby was out with a knee injury.
He's got a lot of time.
Ellis can't make the catch. He was being covered by Michael Allen, as Winnipeg is doing a lot of substituting defensively.
Well, he's had a lot, you know, he doesn't have a lot of time because he's had to run for his life, but when he gets out there, he's been able to look around, but every time he throws the football, there's a blue jersey right with him, and there was not, he has to run. He's taking a heck of a pounding today.
Well, the facial reactions on either side of the field pretty much tell the story of what has taken place here at BC Place Stadium today. The victors and the vanquished. Tracy Ham almost intercepted. Randolph got his hand on that football, and not surprisingly, Tom Burgess has been named the outstanding player of this 1990 Grey Cup game. The best defensive player, Greg Battle, a pair of interceptions, his first, led to the initial Winnipeg points, setting up a field goal by Trevor Kennard just when it appeared as though the Edmonton Eskimos on their first possession were going to drive for a touchdown.
Yeah, that may have been the biggest play of the game. You know, Edmonton needed to get something going. They did. First drive down the field. With Greg Battle playing free safety, makes the interception.
And Warren Hudson, with a pair of touchdowns, has been named the outstanding Canadian. They are the Molson MVP Award winners. Lee Hall down at the goal area, and Danny McManus couldn't get it to him. He was being double covered by Keith Gooch. Sammy Garza, pardon me, has now moved in as quarterback. So Mike Riley is letting everybody play this afternoon.
Well, McManus got his touchdown. He must let Garza see if he can get one.
Yes, that parade will take place 10:30 on Tuesday morning. A welcome home reception at the Winnipeg Arena tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Garza throws to the sidelines, and Winey takes it out of bounds with a first down. Doesn't seem to matter who's throwing the football for Winnipeg. They're finding those open areas.
Well, they sure are. I mean, nothing hard. Winey just went down, broke to the sideline. Garza delivered. He picks up a first down, gets out of bounds. They can score again.
Well, this Grey Cup game has already established a number of offensive records, but in analyzing this game throughout the week, it's not Winnipeg that anyone expected would put those numbers on the board. This one is deflected. Garza was looking for Eric Streeter. I think it may have been Danny Bass who got a hand on that ball with 53 seconds remaining.
I really thought if the score got up into the high 30s, Edmonton would win the football game. They didn't get to the teens.
Veteran Hector Potier, who was with the Edmonton Eskimos during that string of 5 straight Grey Cup triumphs, a spectator today. I don't think even in his prime Hector would have made much of a difference out there against that Winnipeg defense today.
Not 39 points worth.
This one is intercepted by Larry Ruck. He's tackled immediately by Ken Winey, who was the intended receiver of that Sammy Garza throw.
That was just throwing into coverage. That's inexperience. It's going to happen. That's why it's so important to get Garza in. You know, this is a championship game, the one you work for all year. You want to get into this one, and I don't think he ever expected to, but he's in there, and he's getting a chance to play, and it'll help him next year.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have all the meaningful records, I suppose, this afternoon, but the Edmonton Eskimos do have a record of their own. They're the first Western team to play every Eastern team in a Grey Cup game. Chris Johnstone takes a hit as he gets up to the 43-yard line. Edmonton played Montreal in 1979, Hamilton in 1980, Ottawa in 81, Toronto in 82, and now Winnipeg in 1990.
They've hit them all. Of course, you get to that many Grey Cups that they've been to, you're going to bound to hit some different people.
Michael Soles brought down by Albert Williams finally with help from Jeff Croonan. I think absolutely everybody on that Winnipeg bench has had an opportunity to play this afternoon.
Oh, yeah, I don't think there's anybody down there that's missed. It is, I don't know who it is. We've seen Michael Allen. We've seen Winey. We've seen Ball. When the third quarterback gets in, you know everybody's been in.
Well, it's been a remarkable year for the Winnipeg Football Club. Dumped off to Michael Soles, and Soles will pick up another Edmonton first down, tackled by West and Randolph. 5 seconds remaining.
One more snap.
The team that wasn't even picked to make the playoffs is going to win the biggest trophy in the Canadian Football League, the Grey Cup. And with 5 seconds remaining, this should be the final play of the ball game. We remind you, immediately after the game, we'll be going down to the sidelines and to the dressing room to hear from the 1990 Grey Cup champion Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Very satisfied Mike Riley. Looks on as Tracy Ham tries to put it in the end zone. Rod Hill intercepts. And Rod Hill is going to run out of bounds and provide a fan with a souvenir. 50-11, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeat the Edmonton Eskimos in this 78th Grey Cup championship.
Well, very deserving, though. I mean, there's not any doubt about it when you beat a team 50-11. I don't think anyone expected it, but the Bombers came out, and when they snuffed out that first Eskimo drive, they sort of took control. And then especially that third quarter was unbelievable. Every time it turned around, Winnipeg was in the end zone.
On the sidelines, let's bring in Scotto.
Well, Don, I'm with the defensive player of this game, and I think he was the real hero. His 2 interceptions really broke the backs of the Edmonton Eskimos on this day. And Greg Battle, you had the kind of game that a linebacker would dream about.
First of all, I'd like to thank my Lord Jesus Christ for giving me the strength, and my wife and my grandfather supported me throughout the year. It's a great game, and our defense showed up as well as our offense.
This defense was ready for the Eskimos on this day in every way, weren't you?
Yeah, you know, you got to give it to Tracy Ham. He tried his hardest, and, you know, we were just hitting all 6 cylinders, and when we're on that kind of groove, nobody can stop us.
You want to say a word about a team that was not expected at the start of the season to make the playoffs, and now here you are celebrating Grey Cup victory.
I think that gave us sort of a goal, you know, because you know, from the start they counted us out. We didn't have a quarterback, and here we get Tom Burgess, and I think he turned the season around for us.
You had a good offense and a great defense today. Congratulations, Greg.
Thank you.
Don?
Well, there's no question that Tom Burgess turned the season around. As Mike Riley was telling Ron and I this morning, he said Tom Burgess, after a somewhat slow start, learned how to win with our team, doing what we do best. We do a good job of getting the ball to our 2 backs, Mims and Hudson, and Burgess plays our offense to the strength of our defense and special teams, and that's what we saw today.
Yeah, that's just him maturing as a quarterback. You know, he was a one-dimensional quarterback, so to speak, in Saskatchewan. He wanted the man-to-man coverage with the blitz. He'd hurt you downtown. He has completely changed his style of play this year.
Leading Winnipeg to a 50-11 victory, and we'll be back with the Grey Cup presentation after this. Well, in that mob scene down at field level, the commissioner, Donald Crump, was unable to get to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to make the presentation of the Grey Cup, but the Bomber players got their hands on it, Ron, and they are now celebrating a most deserving 50-11 Grey Cup win.
They really didn't care who presented it. They know that it's theirs. They're just going to take it home with them. But as you say, most deserving. A real surprise in a way to have the score to turn out to be 50-11. But well deserved, though. They're a heck of a football team.
This game was a 10-4 Winnipeg lead at halftime, but 28 third-quarter points put it away.
Well, it really did, too, and it happened so quick, you know. Okay, you get a touchdown, that's one thing, but, man, then a turnover, a touchdown, turnover, touchdown. Well, when you look up at the clock and the scoreboard and you see yourself trailing as much as they did, I think the Eskimos knew it was over right there.
Winnipeg, after a 20-year drought, won the Grey Cup in 1984. They repeated again in 1988. They won in Edmonton in 84, beating the Hamilton Ticats. They won in Ottawa in 1988, beating the BC Lions, and they beat the Edmonton Eskimos today here at BC Place Stadium. Somewhere down at field level, I believe we have Scott O.
Well, Don, I just had to haul Tom Burgess off the shoulders of one of the Winnipeg cheerleaders here. He's surrounded by people celebrating this victory. But, Tom, if it's possible to gather your thoughts here for a second and tell me what you think accounted for this lopsided victory today. I suppose you'd suggest defense, among other things.
Oh, hats off to the defense. They did it for us. They've done it for us all year. We did our part. We did our job, but defense wins.
Your offense certainly deserves a lot of credit. When you guys got in the groove today, you stayed there.
We did our job as the best I can put it. I mean, we kept getting the ball in unbelievable field position, and we were able to put enough points on the board. I mean, we could have scored, what, 12 points today. The defense wins. The defense did it.
Overall, do you want to say a word about a team that wasn't supposed to, in the minds of many of the so-called experts, make the playoffs this year?
Hey, this team's number one. Well, I had no doubt we could be number one a long time ago.
Okay, congratulations, Tom. You enjoyed this victory. I know you waited last year on the sidelines. Enjoy this one.
Oh, thank you very much.
Don?
Well, that's the scene in the Winnipeg dressing room as the Blue Bombers celebrate this Grey Cup win, and we've got much more still to come from BC Place Stadium after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now direct your attention to the end zone where Commissioner Donald Crump and C. Ronald Simpson, Vice President of Sports, Molson's Breweries, will present trophies to today's three outstanding players, les trois joueurs les plus utiles du match.
Ladies and gentlemen, under the rules of the Marcus or Queensbury, I'd like to present the Molson offensive most valuable player of the game, number 13. Warren Hudson.
Celebrating their Grey Cup win. Warren Hudson named the game's outstanding Canadian player with a pair of touchdowns. Greg Battle, the top defensive player with 2 interceptions. And Tom Burgess, the Grey Cup MVP. What a storybook year this has been for Tom Burgess after his bitter disappointment of last year of not getting an opportunity to play in the Grey Cup game in the victory by the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
He couldn't have written the script any better, really. I mean, last year he didn't see one down of football in the Saskatchewan win, asks to be traded. Winnipeg finally obtained him in July, comes in, slow start, gets him first place, wins a Grey Cup. I don't think he would have predicted it, but I know he's happy with the outcome.
Well, in the 2 games the Winnipeg Blue Bombers had to win to get here, they beat the Toronto Argonauts in the Eastern Final for a perfect 5-0 against the Argos, 4 regular season wins and the playoff triumph. And against the Edmonton Eskimos, they won 2 regular season games and the Grey Cup game. So they're a perfect 8-0 in those key games. Now let's go to Steve Armitage.
Thank you very much, Don. I'm in the Winnipeg dressing room. There was a lot of talk that this was going to be closed. It's wide open. Mike Riley, the head coach, is with me. Mike, congratulations on a great win.
Thanks a lot, Steve. It was a great effort by our team. You know, this is a great group of people, and it's a very, very tough football team. Competitive and tough.
We are about to get very wet. And I think you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Is this any sweeter than your first Grey Cup game?
They feel good. And I will say this is a very special group because this group fought all year long, and we were picked at the bottom and ended at the top. And I think it becomes a little more special when it's like that. And I really appreciate these guys, and we have a very tough football team.
How do you explain the 50 points?
I don't know. We just came out and took the football game to it. And we never let up. We made plays offensively. We made plays defensively, and we covered Gizmo Williams. And it was just one of those days where we put it together pretty well.
I thought one of the keys was your relentless pressure from your defense. They never gave up.
I've never been around a better defense than ours. We played all but one game this year. We played 20 games, 19 games we played good defense in. We had a bad day in Labor Day in Regina, but besides that, we played great defense. Championship teams have great defenses, and that's what we have. We always have to build on.
Mike Riley, congratulations once again. Now let's go to Don Whitman.
All right, Steve, 3 times in the past 7 years, the Bombers have won the best record of any team since the Eskimos put together their league record of 5 straight. The celebration continues in the Grey Cup champion Winnipeg Blue Bomber dressing room. And amidst all that revelry, I believe we have Steve Armitage.
We do indeed, Donna. We've got the outstanding Canadian with us now, Warren Hudson. Warren, congratulations.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much. This is the first for me, and it's great to win my first Grey Cup. And with all these great guys, it's been just a pleasure. It's been fun. Sure.
Tell us about that first touchdown.
It was a screenplay. Tom called it, and
you're doing fine. Keep going.
Tom called it, and I don't think they thought I was going to be running the ball, so it was kind of a surprise on them. So it was nice to get in there.
Now, all the talk before this game was of Robert Mims. Did you think you'd get as much play as you did?
Well, I think Robert still ran the ball, and I think they were keying on Robert. That's what it was. But Robert still ran the ball, and I caught screen passes. But Robert was a runner. He was a hard runner today.
They said this Winnipeg offense couldn't score points. 50 is a lot of points.
I know. They said if we won, it was going to be ugly. Shit, 50 points ain't ugly.
It was a beautiful feeling. How does it feel right now?
It feels great. You know, if somebody had told me this in June, that I'd be traded to Winnipeg and then win a Grey Cup, I never would have believed him. But here we are, so what can I say?
Warren, congratulations on a great game. I've got Trevor Kennard here. Trevor, congratulations. Is this any sweeter than it was 2 years ago?
This is very sweet. What makes it really sweet, though, is it's my mom and dad's 50th wedding anniversary. I want to say happy anniversary, Mom and Dad. Last week in the Eastern Final, it was your birthday, Jake, 4 years of age. Hi, Luke and Jake. Happy anniversary, Mom and Dad. And they're always sweet. They're always sweet.
How do you explain the 50 points?
I think we have a great offense. We have a great offense. It just took them 18 games to kind of find their range, and our defense scored some too. Greg Battle's interception for the TD, I really thought was a great play of the game. Tremendous credit has to go to Mike Riley and special teams coach Dave Ritchie. Our special teams have been solid all year.
Thank you very much, Trevor.
Thank you, Steve.
To Ron and Don.
Luke and Jake.
When Winnipeg defeated Edmonton 48-25 late in September, that was the most points all season Winnipeg put on the board. They exceeded that total again against the Edmonton Eskimos in the most unlikely setting, the Grey Cup game.
Oh, yeah. We've said during the telecast and later that no one expected 50 points from anybody. I know I was surprised. I thought they'd win in the 20s, 24, 21, something like that. And as Hudson said, maybe it was ugly, but 50 points isn't ugly.
But the surprise, as much as Winnipeg scoring 50 points, is that they were able to limit Edmonton to just 11.
They shut them down completely. That was a surprise, you know. I thought for sure they'd get things going, get a few touchdowns late in the second half, but not today. Winnipeg never let up.
Back to the excitement of the dressing room, and again, here's Steve Armitage.
Thank you very much, Don. Tom Burgess is with me. Tom, you and I talked before the game. You were a little nervous, a little uptight. This has to be, I would think, the dream come true for Tom Burgess.
Yep.
What more do you care to elaborate on that?
Well, last year it was tough, you know, as good as it was, and I wanted to get back here, and I mean, who could dream I'd be back here this quick, and it happened. I'm proud of myself for once, and this is great.
So much talk about the Winnipeg defense before the game, but it was the offense that became the story.
Well, the defense is a pretty good story. They took the game into their own hands, and we finally did our job. You know, we finally took advantage of all the opportunities we could, and that resulted in the blowout. But my hat's off to that defense of ours. They're the best I've ever seen.
Tom Burgess, congratulations. Let's go to Scott Oak. Scott?
Steve, I'm just outside the Edmonton locker room, and I would say this: one of the most difficult jobs in all professional sport is to try and explain what went wrong on a day like this. But a class veteran by the name of Rod Knopp has consented to give us his thoughts on where it all went sour for you today.
Straightforward turnovers. We got crushed by giving them the ball, I think 6, 7, maybe 8 times, and you know, we started the game off, took the opening kickoff, came down the field 50, 60 yards, and on an interception, all of a sudden it was 50 yards the other way. There's still time to come back from that one, but when we came out in the second half, we were still in the game. Our defense stopped them after the opening kickoff. We took the ball, got a couple of first downs to get out of our own end, or at least some breathing room from the goal line, and then you saw the interception to Battle. He took it in, and then it just snowballed after that.
Rod, thanks for coming out and giving us your thoughts, and unfortunate the way it turned out for you.
Yeah, I know. We lost to a really good team that played really well today. They were better than us, obviously. I don't have to tell anybody that, but my hat's off to Winnipeg. They deserved it today.
Thanks for your time, Rod. Up to you, Don.
Well, Scott, turnovers usually prove to be disastrous, and they certainly did today for the Edmonton Eskimos. 50-11 losers to the Grey Cup champion Winnipeg Blue Bombers.